The following podcast contains strong language and alternative facts. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Heel Podcast. Over the airwaves and under the influence, we are Turning Heel.
Let's get this shindig started. For the first time in over 2 months, welcome back to the Turning Heel podcast with me, the Grizz. And with me this week, the robot is in for repairs, so Chris motherfucking Hughes is back.
Hello.
Hello, where have you been?
Travelling the world.
Travelling the world, one beer at a time.
Yep, one beer at a time in this COVID-ridden hellhole of a world that we call now. I've been going round there and I've been making sure everybody's getting their jags. I've been getting the world back. We don't need fucking leaders like Boris Johnson, Nicola Sturgeon or Joe Biden. We just need me.
Yeah, I believe your slogan is "Get a jab, get a beer," where you go to everybody that's gotten their jab and then you buy them a pint and then you listen to their story over a nice cold one and then you move on to the next person.
Absolutely. Yep. I'm changing the world one beer at a time.
There you go. That's the spirit. See, whoever told you that alcohol was a bad thing? And what a weekend to come back to, because we had another double dip of pro wrestling pay-per-view action. Fitting that many peas into a punchline. So we had, on Saturday night, Slammiversary. And then on Sunday night, we had Money in the Bank. And because we're recording this on a Wednesday, the first Raw of the return of fans era, because every, amount of time of WWE needs to have its own era now. Like, I don't like calling it the pandemic era, like everybody's calling it, but it's an era now. It's like, oh, we had the Attitude Era, we had the Ruthless Aggression Era, the Sports Entertainment Era, and the pandemic era, of course. They're all the same, really.
Yeah. Although I'm feeling very positive about the post-pandemic era.
So far, so good.
Yeah, I mean the shows back in front of crowds have been excellent so far. So
yeah, all three of them. I mean, we'll have a little chat of some things from Raw. But obviously, we're not going to run that whole shindig down. But there's some interesting things that happened on Raw. But we'll get into that. But what we'll do is we'll start from the top. So we'll start with Impact Wrestling Slammiversary, coming to you live from some place in Tennessee where it has originated for about the past year. In fact, probably over a year at this point, because I think they were running out of there before the pandemic even started, to be honest. But your opening contest was on the pre-show. It was Decay taking on Fire and Flavor for the Knockouts Tag Team Championships. So this was a relatively short match. So we're looking at the sort of finish. There was Havoc, who missed a squash in the corner as Kira takes out Rosemary. Then Kira then dives to the outside on Rosemary and Crazy Steve. And the actual finish comes with Kira Hogan on the back of Havoc, trying to lock in a sleeper. Havoc slings Kira over into the pile driver. 1, 2, 3. And we have new Knockouts Tag Team Champions.
woohoo!
So how much...
I am, as everyone knows, didn't watch the pre-show Hughes, so I did not see this match, so I little.
So how much Impact have you been watching since the last time we heard your sultry voice?
I've not been watching every week, but I've been watching it far more regularly than I was before. Definitely.
So just kind of on and off.
Yeah. See, to be honest with you, the day change to a Friday is a bit of a pain in the arse for me because my Fridays are always busy, like with work. So I don't really have time to watch it. Then by the time Saturday rolls round, most of it's spoiled. So
yeah, and then you're doubling up with SmackDown as well.
Yeah. So I don't see as much Impact as I would like, certainly, But I've definitely seen more of it than I used to. If I see something that's happened that I'm like, oh, I quite fancy that, I'll find it and even just watch that segment or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Or that match.
Mm-hmm. I know, like, see, to be honest, I actually thought the kind of change to the wrestling week was going to be nothing but positive. And I mean, relatively it is. It's better having one wrestling show a day than two on one day. But Impact definitely got the kind of short end of the stick when it came to that because, I'm kind of the same with you. Just there's some times where I just kind of forget what day it's on. Then it gets to Sunday and it's like, fuck, I've not watched Impact. Fuck, I've not watched SmackDown.
Yeah. And I watched my first episode of SmackDown in a long time on Saturday there because obviously it was the first one the crowd's back. So I was intrigued to watch it. And I can't fathom why I don't watch more SmackDown. It was such an enjoyable show. It's solely down to the timing because the weekend's an absolute bastard.
I know it really is. Like with the way that my days off work, I should be able to watch like one Raw live a month, one NXT live a month, and then like one SmackDown live a month, and then the occasional pay-per-views if they align with my Monday off. But most of the time I'm just like, I'll just watch it tomorrow because then that means I don't need to deal with adverts. But the amount of times that I just genuinely forget SmackDown is on a Friday, and then, like, kind of as you says, it gets like bits of it get spoiled for me, and that's when I realize, fuck, I miss SmackDown. And then I go back and watch it on like Monday, and it's like, man, this is arguably like the best WWE product that there is going just now. Why am I not like prioritizing this like I would for NXT? When I do find that there's some episodes of NXT that are just a bit blah.
Yeah.
I've not seen all of this week's NXT, so just heads up in case there's anything that you.
I've not seen any of NXT this week. I actually completely forgot today's Wednesday and NXT was on last night.
Well, fair enough.
So there you go. That's what horrible.
See what I mean? Like, it's confusing sometimes because we just had it stapled in for so long, and then now, obviously, in 3 weeks or something, Rampage starts as well, which is also on a Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah,
there's too much wrestling. I never thought I'd say there's too much wrestling, but there's too much wrestling.
I know that's again, that's part of the reason why I needed to stop the dark top 5 is those shows ended up getting longer and longer. Then they made a second one, and just trying to get through everything is a job on its own. If we were to do a podcast for every wrestling show that we genuinely watched, like, we would need to be absolutely world famous and have like the most Patreons in the world
like, this
to get the money.
Full-time job would have to be invested every day.
And to be honest, I would if I could, but I can't, so I won't.
Yeah, snap.
So Slammiversary opened with the return of Ultimate X for the first time in over 2 years. Ultimate X has happened. It was meant to happen last year, WrestleMania weekend, when Impact were doing that homecoming show where they were bringing back a whole bunch of old people. Ken Anderson and D'Lo Brown were representing Aces and Eights. And I was like, oh, hell yeah. So it was going to be King of the Mountain match, Ultimate X match, just all the gimmick matches. It was just going to be like a clusterfuck of random shit, and it was going to be awesome. And it's obviously never happened, and I don't think it probably will. Or if it will, it may not happen until maybe next year when they try and revive it or whatever. But so the participants were the challengers because this was for the X Division Championship. Trey Miguel, Chris Bay, Rohit Raju, Petey Williams, Ace Austin all challenged the champion, Josh Alexander. Also, first Impact with fans in the audience. Which
I'm sorry, right? This is going to come across as me bashing Impact, and I'm not bashing Impact.
So before you say it, which is
fans, like
I was about to say, which was better than nothing, but Jesus, it was very anticlimactic as well.
It's the stage that they use is far too small. Like, it's far too small, and there wasn't enough fans in there to make it feel big. So it would have been better just being left empty. Do you know what I mean?
I know. I'm genuinely thinking at this point, were they still trying to do some kind of social distancing or some shit with not having too many people in there?
No, I don't think so. I think that was probably the capacity of the place, to be perfectly honest with you. Like, I know that like NXT was probably a similar size, but it's much darker around where the fans are, so you can't really tell that there's not a whole load of fans in there. Do you know what I mean? And I think if they'd done something similar and kind of kept, you could see the first row or two and then kept the rest of it reasonably dark, it would have worked. But it was so obvious that it was a tiny room they were in. Do you know what I mean? And it didn't have the big feel that it should have had.
Yeah, like if they had like bleachers or something where you can get rows upon rows upon rows, like that might have worked out a bit better. It was just kind of looked like.
Why are they not just hiring one of these small baseball stadiums that they run wrestling shows in and just doing it from there?
Maybe I think it just may be panic from Impact, thinking like, right, well, we better stay here. We've got a home here, and if anything goes down, and we have to resort back to no fans, at least we still have this place.
Yeah.
Which is, I feel like that's part of the reason what NXT are doing as well, though. Like, it does kind of feel like they are at a point where they've made this Capitol Wrestling Center and made it look as much like the, Full Sail as possible, but it just doesn't have the same feel like that it used to. I mean, like the big, awesome screens that have all the match cards and all that hoopla is like really cool, but you're sacrificing like a lot more fans being in these places to have stuff like that.
I mean, NXT will either go back to Full Sail in the next upcoming couple of months, or they'll go on the road. I don't think they won't be staying in the CWC that much longer.
Or see, even if like they just made it a bit bigger, like I think I'd be happy with that.
I think the issue is though they're working with limited space because although they're obviously they're using the performance center, they still have to have the performance center side of it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I think they'll go back to Full Sail. If they don't go back to Full Sail, they'll go on the road.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting because one part I did see from NXT is they've officially announced the next takeover, which is the 22nd of August, which is the day after SummerSlam, innit?
Could be, yeah.
Sunday.
So that's the super show that was happening on the Sunday then.
I don't know if it is. I think the super show might be a house show, and then they're doing a takeover on the same day, just because they have that roster. See, if they just did like an NXT versus WWE super show, like that would be cool.
Yeah, it could potentially fit into the discussion we were having last night.
Exactly. Stay tuned as Taco has joined the podcast.
Hi, Tackle.
So we'll go into the Ultimate X quickly with a few of the highlights, which a lot of them included Rohit Raju, as he pulled out an array of props during this match to try and obtain the belt by not climbing up the scaffolding. At one point, pulled out a grapple hook. Then at one point, he pulled out a long hook on a stick and tried to stand on a chair and fish it off that way. There was an insane spot in the match with a series of submissions with Rohit locking in a crossface on Trey, as Williams locks in the sharpshooter, also on Trey. Then Alexander goes for the belt. Ace Austin and Chris Bay come in. Ace Austin tries a suplex on Bay, but while Bay is in the air, Josh Alexander grabs his ankle and locks in the ankle lock while he's hanging upside down. Then Chris Bay locks a headlock onto Ace Austin, and while Ace Austin is fading, he then grabs a headlock on Pete Williams. So it's just this massive array of human beings just all like attached to each other. Very well done spot. And then the ending came with both Bay and Alexander going for the belt. Both have it in one hand as Ace tries the old AJ Styles maneuver of springboarding, grabbing the belt, but both men pull it up and Ace Austin crashes and burns. And then finally, Josh Alexander fights Chris Bay off. Josh, the sole owner of the championship, and retains the championship. Return of Ultimate X.
Yeah, it was a really fun match to watch. I'm glad that Josh Alexander retained.
Yeah, you were always big on him back in the day. Jesus, it was only a couple of months ago.
Yeah, yeah. No, at first I didn't like him. I think I've explained this on the podcast before, but for those that didn't listen or those that can't remember, the fucking headset used to piss me off to no end. Like, they really fucking annoy me, but nah, he's really good, and I'm glad to see that he retained in such a high-profile match.
I'm genuinely impressed with him these days, and I'm starting to get inklings that there may be an option C in the works.
Potentially, yeah. That would be really interesting if they were to go back to that. What pay-per-view was it usually did that again?
Well, they used to do it at Destination X specifically. That was your option, was at that pay-per-view you can give up the X title, go for the world title. But then there was one time where it just happened and some person, I want to maybe say it was Bobby Lashley, when he was X-champion, just came out and was like, I'm cashing in option C. And it's like, but it's not Destination X. I guess they've got their own lore.
I quite like the idea of that if you're X Division champion, you have option C at any point.
Yeah, because it gives you the kind of thing of, do you want to always be a champion and lose the belt on your own accord, or give it up and do an all or nothing kind of thing where you could potentially leave with the bigger belt or leave with nothing.
Yeah, I quite like
that
that concept. Actually, it's like something that could happen a few times a year. It doesn't need to be a once a year thing. Do you know what I mean?
I think if they were to do it multiple times a year, there would need to be the kind of rule of maybe you have to hold the belt for like 3 months or have X amount of title defenses before you can then be eligible for it, because it would be a bit annoying if like any time a new champion was crowned, it was like, oh, option C. So like, it's in fact what that kind of sounds like is the way that NWA do it with their mid-card belt just now, their TV title. If you get 7 wins as the TV champion, you can then again give up the belt and go for a shot at the world title. So the storyline hasn't happened yet where someone has had 7 successful title defenses. So every time that there's a champion, like your you're keeping an eye on his title defense record and like that sort of thing of like if he gets to 7, 1, will he cash in, and 2, will he even get there to begin with?
Yeah, yeah.
But
it's a concept that could definitely work if it's done right.
Yeah, it's just an added stipulation that makes a belt, instead of it just being a belt, it makes it something just that level more exciting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't disagree with that at all.
But what was exciting was our next match, because it was the first of our surprises of the evening, as Brian Myers and Tenille Dashwood, the two thorns in the side, I guess, of Matt Cardona, the former best friend and the former lover, taking on Matt Cardona and, as I said, the first mystery wrestler of the evening, already injured, Chelsea Green.
Already injured.
You know how like Matt Cardona is always ready. Chelsea Green is just always injured.
Yeah. I do really feel for her though, man. But
I know.
I think she maybe has to start thinking that her wrist injury is going to be one that's going to be with her forever. So she needs to start working to protect that. Because that's like 3 times she's broke it now, all in debuts.
Yeah. I know. That's the thing, is she was quite, what's the word? Like, she was never injured for the longest time. And then just when she got her first injury, she then just became injury prone.
Yeah.
And it just became that difficult for her. But she injured it once. Oh. She injured it once. Then I think that must have been like maybe around NXT. She healed up, came back, was in that 4-way on SmackDown that she was meant to win. That she injured it there, was off again. Then she gets released. She comes back for the Ring of Honor to be in their women's tournament. She gets injured again, and she didn't do much in this match. Like there was only like about maybe a minute of in-ring time for her.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was kind of basic stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's because her wrist is fucked. Like, she's going to have to find a way to work around that going forward, because the injury she's going to keep reoccurring. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, is it a case that she's coming back from this injury too early each time, or is it?
I mean, yeah, it could be, but you wouldn't think that would be allowed to happen. I get it. I get it if it was on the Indies or something like that, but the likes of Impact and companies like that, even to an extent, Ring of Honor should have some sort of policy about the test that you need to pass before you're cleared. Do you know what I mean?
I know one would think, but I don't know. Something, the reputation of some wrestlers where it's like, are you okay? And it's like, don't say you've got concussion. Don't say you've got concussion. I've got the shits.
I've got a percussion.
Ah. What? So what kind of instrument?
I'm addicted to drums.
Shit, I said the loud part quiet, the quiet part loud. And still your Simpsons champion.
Indeed.
So it was a pretty cool little surprise having her in the match, because both of them came out, like Cardona came out and he was standing deliberately with his side to the audience. And then we got this kind of like little intro bit where Chelsea Green walked up, and then Laurel Vaness, all in her wedding gear and hot mess makeup, came up and screamed in her face. And then she came out, and then that's when Matt turned around, and then they had like the matching half and half gear, which was a nice little addition. They sort of end of stretch came with Tenille going for a low blow on Matt Cardona, but it doesn't work because Cardona pulls out a cup, a bedazzled cup at that. And Chelsea finishes off the match by hitting her own uppercut, or as I've dubbed, the uppercunt, to Neil Dashwood, and then hits the hot mess on Prettier to get the victory. The old vanquishing.
Do you know something, right? You just lifted Taco up there in front of the camera, and Fergal shat himself and ran away.
He won't leave me alone. He keeps jumping on my fucking lap. And it's too hot for this. Like, he's shedding like a motherfucker.
Yep, so is Fergal. Fergal's shedding like fake. I'm actually covered in... you might have noticed as when Grizz was running through the previous match, he was giggling uncontrollably at one point. That's because I had Fergal up my shoulder, but I'm now covered in cat hair.
Yeah, it's just because like Fergal just has this nonchalant look in his face all the time. Just whenever you pick him up, like, here we go again.
Well, for fuck's sake, I didn't sign up for this.
I get it, I'm fucking adorable, yada yada. Meow.
Meow, see?
Meow. What does a cat have to do to get a bowl of milk over here? What was not a bowl of milk was Eddie.
Sorry, go. Yep, sorry.
What was not a bowl of milk was Eddie Edwards, because he had to take on W. Morrissey. That's not a bowl of milk.
No, definitely not. That's a punch in the face.
Maybe a bowl of milk, but maybe a bowl of milk that's been lying there for about 2 weeks and it's all weird and lumpy and smells.
Yep.
But what also smells was Eddie Edwards' weird ring jacket that he had, which does not suit the kind of hardcore style that he has. But then he has a ring jacket. It looked very odd.
I can't say I've really noticed it, but I don't think I'd have been paying enough attention to notice something like that. Do you know what I mean?
It's just one of the things.
I'm actually not really a fan of Eddie Edwards. Maybe I'm missing something very obvious, but I tend to, if I'm watching Impact, I tend to fast forward through his segments and matches. So I'm just not into him.
Interesting. Maybe it's kind of similar to the Rich Swann sort of situation of you weren't there during his rise. And I will admit right now his kind of gimmick is a bit like, he's not as hardcore as he used to be back when he hung about with and talked to a kendo stick. But like, he is kind of just in this weird sort of between period of, oh look, I'm a really good wrestler and sometimes I have a kendo stick. Woo, look at my crazy hair. I don't know. Well, I've always been a big fan of Eddie, but I would say that there's been better times and there's been blurst times. But this whole match anyway was just a kind of another build-up match for Morrissey. Like, he had that one against Rich Swann at the last Impact Plus pay-per-view where he defeated him. So he's just kind of going through periods of beating former world champions, which makes Morrissey look good because that's exactly what you're needing right now is to build this guy up, is give him credible challengers and credible wins. And that's another one that he got here because most of the match was Morrissey on top with Eddie attempting a dive at the ring at one point but getting chokeslammed on the apron. The ending came with a hope spot from Eddie, which saw him hit the Boston Knee Party, but this sent Morrissey out the ring. The ref also was distracted at this point, which allowed Morrissey to pull out a chain, pops Eddie in the face, and then it gets back in, powerbomb, 1, 2, 3, and W. Morrissey with another big victory, once again, over a former Impact World Champion.
I've obviously not seen a great deal of Impact over the last few months. Seen bits and bobs. From your point, as someone that watches it on a weekly basis, how do you feel about W. Morrissey?
I think it's a really good resurgence, to be honest. Like, because of the gimmick that he's starting to run now, with the whole, oh yeah, I used to have friends, those friends abandoned me, and they cost me my job and all that yada yada. Like, and it's good that because he's coming in with a chip on his shoulder, and it's showing in his matches as well. Like, oh man, this guy's like fucking grumpy as fuck these days, and it's not just, remember me? Oh, now I'm angry. It's like he's given a reason as to why that he's pissed off at the world.
Yeah,
which is at least something. And to be honest, he's in the best shape of his entire wrestling career at this point, considering the photos a couple of years ago of Morrissey that were going about when he was on the Indies, and he was called like, what was it?
Kaz XL.
Yeah, Cass XL, and it's like everybody's making the joke of, oh, more like Cass XXXL, because he was out of shape and, like, you know, had a big gut hanging over his jeans and all that, and then that scary moment where he like fainted.
Yeah.
So, like, to kind of come back from a lot of this shit and come back looking like the way he does now, like, it's all genuinely impressive, and I think they're doing a really good job with him, with the build-up that they've given him so far. It's the only thing that I have to question is, where does he really go from here right now? Because I see him one day easily being Impact Champion. I do not see him being Impact Champion while the legs of Kenny Omega are around, though.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely not. Maybe definitely down the line once the whole Omega thing's finito.
Surpassed.
Yeah. But I suppose it depends who Omega's going to drop the belt to, because whoever Omega drops the belt to is going to have to be someone pretty special.
Mm-hmm.
So
and
he's probably not going to take the title off that person, but maybe the champion afterwards.
I know. Yeah, again, that's a combo for a bit later. One of the vignettes we get is a pretty little white canvas, and then some writing starts to appear on the canvas, saying, "Long live the king." That's right, Scar from Lion King is making his way to Impact.
Yes, I've been waiting for him to come back. I hear he's been working hard as fuck in the gym. He's in the best shape of his life. We got some surgery to take care of the scar, so you can't actually see that anymore.
Oh.
And he's also going to be wearing a lucha mask just to make sure that that's definitely covered.
Yeah, that's real dedication. Like, getting surgery and then wearing a mask.
Yep.
Whew. Well done, Scar. Oh wait, some more words have just appeared. The Drama King?
Yeah. I wonder who that could be.
Damn it. I was trying to think of literally anybody else that may have had like a kind of dramatic gimmick or something, and it's like, none came to me.
No, none at all. But yeah, I'm actually quite surprised to see Aiden English, or whatever he's going by now, being back in wrestling after so long.
Yeah, I was listening to another podcast earlier on today when they were talking about this. They looked up his cage match profile, and he's had about 3 matches since he left WWE. And that was
what, 3 years ago?
Yeah, thereabouts. Maybe the last.
Yeah, it'd be about 3 years, because he did have a wee run as commentator on SmackDown, I believe.
Yeah, and 205.
Yeah, I was thinking about Simon Gotch.
Yeah, Gotch was.
He went before him though, didn't he? They weren't released at the same time. Yeah, so about 2.5 years or something. Then he's been away.
Gotch was a little bit of a shit, and then he left and joined Team Filthy in like MLW, and has been doing those blood sport shows and all that kind of jazz.
Yeah, because I met him on Bourbon Street when he was over for WrestleMania. So he was on the Indies then, and that was 2018. So yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, like I'm interested to see what he does, because I would think with a vignette like that, he's clearly coming in to wrestle, because I wouldn't see a reason on him having a sort of vignette like that and then him coming in to do commentary.
No, definitely not. He's definitely coming in to wrestle. Absolutely. Or he might even not be wrestling. He might come in as kind of like a managerial / head of the stable role.
And then just get some bunch of mimes or something.
Yeah. I think he'll definitely at least do some matches. Probably full-time wrestling, to be honest with you, but that would also work for him as well, being a mouthpiece for someone.
Oh yeah, definitely. He has quite the gift of the gab.
Yep.
So after this, Shira and Fulton make their way out. They're kind of fighting and arguing, and big Scotty Demure comes out. I think he had his theme music that you love so much. And sort of says,
I don't mind his theme music. It's just if he's got theme music, fucking use it every time it comes out, not just when you decide to.
So he says, well, you know what? Normally I'd be in a bad mood and I would just have you guys thrown out of here. But you know what? There are two guys here that want to fight instead. And I was like, oh, here we go. Well, who's it going to be? Like, there's a plethora of new tag teams that they could potentially bring in. Oh, Spin Juice. Yeah,
that was quite disappointing to me as well, because I was expecting a debut.
Yeah. I had just, well, yeah, not a fan of Finn Juice. Like, I've made that clear a whole bunch of times. I mean, Finlay, he's all right. Don't mind him. Can't stand Juice Robinson. They went in about 80 seconds, jobbing out two big guys, blah, blah, blah. Let's move on.
Yep.
Moose versus Chris Sabin was the next match on the card, with Moose coming out with the sort of a Roman Emperor style bedazzled gear.
Mm-hmm.
This was another decent match, but there wasn't a lot to write home about for this one. It was another big guy versus small guy match, and we already had one of those earlier with the Morrissey Edwards match. So most of the match was kind of Moose doing the beatdown on Sabin. Like, he does do some cool stuff, like the kind of fall away slam moonsault off the top, which always looks badass. But it only is badass when you can do it in almost everybody. And considering Moose is probably one of the biggest guys in Impact, it's one of those things of, could you do it to? I think he might have done it to Willie Mack, or either that, or I'm just imagining it. But I want to see if he can do it on bigger guys, and then I'll be hella impressed.
Yeah.
It's still impressive, but you know, when it's a big guy doing it to a smaller guy, it's understandable. So Sabin tries to fight back. There's a point where Moose hits a pop-up powerbomb on the apron when they're fighting outside, then starts swinging Sabin back and forth against the guardrail. And then the ending comes with Sabin, during all this punishment, manages to outsmart Moose and gets a victory roll to eke out a victory. Hail Sabin.
Hail Sabin!
Decent little match. Good way to get them on the card.
Yeah, I'm not completely sold on Moose.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I think he's bang average, but yeah, if you want to get him on the card, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, it is interesting with Moose. I've definitely came to appreciate him more over the past year. I feel like his kind of sort of outstanding moment was when he was in that 6-man tag main event at Hard to Kill with Kenny and the Good Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the kind of point where I turned around on him slightly, because I used to be like, how do you work with Eddie Edwards? I would just sometimes fast forward his interviews and stuff because he annoyed the hell out of me. But I definitely came around on him a bit. I don't know.
Yeah, he's not awful, but he's just not. Put it this way, him versus Omega, that match didn't sell to me at all. I just could not. I wasn't interested.
I was like, oh, this has potential, and then the match wasn't that great. So I was like, oh, well, that was deflating. I don't know if the ending was part of the reason why I thought it was deflating, because Omega had all the help with fucking the Young Bucks and all that hoopla, but I think like one of these things, well, considering we're talking very briefly about that match and the fact that it was in Daly's place, which has been something that I've always said should happen. Well, even just during the pandemic, if they were able to open up Daly's place to Impact to do like their plus specials or pay-per-views.
Yeah.
Like, what they need to do is, if they have Kenny Omega as world champion, is they need to start getting Impact wrestlers on Dynamite from time to time when it's building up to a big show like this. Like, there's absolutely no reason why Sami Callihan couldn't have shown up on 1 or 2 Dynamites and started attacking Omega while he was doing stuff to build up to this main event, because this was the main event of their biggest show of the summer.
Yeah.
And AEW maybe mentioned it in passing like twice.
Yeah. I mean, this whole AEW and Impact relationship thing, to me, it doesn't really benefit Impact at all. Because for the fact that they're not really mentioning Impact on AEW means you're not really pulling in that AEW crowd.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like to an extent, yes.
It's all well and good having Kenny Omega as the champion, right? But when you're not actively doing anything to promote the fact he's the champion,
yeah,
by doing things like you just said, like having Sami Callihan interfere or be on the show and do stuff, it doesn't work. Like,
hell, like look at the way that they built up that title match for New Japan Strong a couple of months ago, where Kenta showed up at the end of a Dynamite and attacked Moxley, and then they had one match with Kenta the next week, and then the match with Moxley happened on Strong, and Kenta hasn't been seen again since.
yeah.
But at least, you know, Kenta showed up, had a match. Like, if you just do something like that, like, it's going to be Kingston, Pentagon, and Phoenix against the Good Brothers and Kenny Omega, and Phoenix gets injured because he's always injured these days. And then they're like, oh man, we need a partner. We need a partner. And Kingston's like, I know a guy. And then Sami Callihan comes out as the shocker, and then you know Don West can go all mental at ringside and be like, yeah, he doesn't work here, he shouldn't be here, da 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 da. Like, and then they can make it where it's just a one-off thing. But then during that match, they can ham up the whole thing of, oh man, like Kenny Omega's defending the Impact title against Callahan at Slammiversary.
Yeah.
And like that's really all you need, is like getting the challengers for Kenny Omega on these shows. Like just once. Because that's what I say, is like they don't even if they done like the whole thing that what's his butt Tony Khan used to do on Impact, where he would promote like the next Dynamite or whatever. See if they'd done that once and let Impact run their rundown of their pay-per-view or something. Like, I just feel like kind of what you said, it's just a bit one-sided.
Yeah. When Tony Khan used to do that, the rundown ads, right, to run down the AEW card.
Mm-hmm.
I know you didn't like it. I thought they were quite funny, but at the same time, that only benefited AEW. It gave Impact absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and he would just sit there and make fun of them the whole time.
Yeah, like it was all very strange. I think that's really the only way I can put it.
Yeah,
because it was basically AEW just shat all over Impact.
Let's become a partnership. Oh, you fucking suck.
Yeah, like
I know. It's odd and I don't understand it. And there was a commercial later on in the show for Bound for Glory. And one of the key points of the advert was, I went fucking American and then British with that, calling it commercial, then an advert, was it flashed up the AEW logo, the AAA logo, and the New Japan logo.
Yeah.
And so, like, is this maybe just, well, because me and Robert, like, both marked the fuck out of that, and then, like, I think we kind of went in a wee bit of a, ooh, what if this happened, what if that happened? It's like, is that just trying to imply that, you know, you're going to have Kenny Omega there, there's your AEW, you're going to have, I'm trying to think if there's actually anybody from AAA on Impact just now.
Kenny Omega.
Oh, fuck, I think maybe Black Taurus might be from AAA, actually.
Yeah, I think he is.
And then New Japan, you've got people like Finjuice and somebody else. So it's like, are you going to like really lean hard into this and get a whole bunch of guys from these companies, or is it just going to be the handful of people you have already? It's like, oh, we're representing all these companies. It's like, yeah, well, so is every Impact.
Yeah, that's well. They've taken a step up, who we'll speak about later. That they've got so. I mean, they could get the likes of Moxley or something like that in from AEW as well. Like, they don't have to go over the top. I don't think it should be over the top, but they should get some big names in.
Yeah, like fucking Moxley versus Callahan. Like, that would be an absolute barn burner.
Yep, I'm all for that.
Yeah.
Pretty sure I said that actually when this whole thing first started.
I think we all did.
Yeah.
We all had our dream matches.
Yep.
Well, we'll move on from that anyway, and we'll kind of get back to it, and then maybe we can kind of loop back around when we start talking about the person that we're obviously alluding right now.
Yeah.
So we move on to the four-way for the tag team championship as Willie Mack and Rich Swann, the Good Brothers, Falaba and a mystery partner all took on the champions Violent by Design. So it started with Falaba coming out to the ramp, and he informs everyone that TJP is injured. So he says, "Can you find a replacement?" And Falaba goes, "No way, Jose. No way, Jose. No way, Jose."
This was so bizarre. Like,
it was the weirdest fucking thing ever. How and why?
Like, I don't understand why he's still a thing. Like,
And why are you running this exact same gimmick? Like, I feel like one of the last times I heard from No Way Jose, because, you know, we keep in touch, he was kind of doing this whole thing of, oh, I'm going to run a new gimmick and I'm going to run a serious gimmick and I'm going to completely drop the whole no way, Jose, look at me, I'm a dancing guy stuff.
yeah.
And then he just comes to Impact, does the exact same thing. And has the conga line of Johnny Swinger and the Swingerettes and everyone from Swingers Palace. You should have had Chris Sabin on the end, just like, fucking
I love this place.
It was what it was. No way Jose was never the best wrestler in the world, and it definitely showed in this match. He seemed like the odd one out. And this is the other thing before I get into the match was evidently he was not meant to be here. It was meant to be TJP. TJP got injured. I think it might have been at the MLW tapings that have happened recently. So this was quite last minute that they had to replace TJP. So is he going to be at Impact full time, or was this a one-off just for the lulls?
I think just for the pure fact of who it is, I think it's just for the lulls.
Yeah, because part of this also was for about the past year and a half, Tommy Dreamer keeps making jokes because people keep saying, no way, Jose. And then Tommy Dreamer would just pop in and go, we've not hired that guy. And then he would just slink off into the darkness.
Yeah.
So maybe like they make a reference to it on like Impact this week, and then they go, no way, Jose. And it's like, he's still not hired. He just never comes back.
No, definitely for me, I'm not fussed about No Way Jose. No. I'm just amazed he's still a thing. Like,
well, if he stays, I wouldn't be incredibly disappointed, but
I mean, I'm not fussed one way or the other if he stays or if he doesn't stay, but
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I'm not going to be tuning into Impact every Friday because No Way Jose is on the show.
And I guess now we should talk about his new name.
Yep.
No way. That's it.
I know,
but I thought
I was doing an impression of the crowd at the time.
Oh, I see.
Just well, it's good on the guy getting work. Don't quite know how he managed it, but good on him.
I just generally feel like it may be one of those things where I'm going to go back to a really old school one when Trent was out with an injury in NXT, and his return promo was everybody going, "Where's Trent? Where's Trent?" And then a guy just opens a cupboard, and Trent's just sitting there watching TV, and then they go, "Hey Trent, do you want to wrestle in NXT next week?" And he goes, "Yeah." Trent returns to NXT next week. It's like, I just feel it's like something like that, where they're just like wandering about, and like I just assume No Way Jose is just leading a conga line for the past however many years he's been unemployed, like just with a massive beard, dirt all over his face, and like ripped up shabby clothes, and they're like, "Hey, No Way, do you want to wrestle at Slammiversary?" Yeah, can I get some money up front? Then he gets a shave and all that.
I think it was April last year he was released.
Oof, no way.
Jose?
Ah. Yes, that's who we were talking about. So there was the big boy battle during this match as Gallows and Doring started going at it till everyone else broke it up. There was a lot of big schmozzing in this match. Bad takes out Swan with a Samoan drop, so Mac gets revenge and hits a Samoan drop of his own on Bad, which looked incredibly impressive. Doring hits a Death Valley driver and is short on clothesline on No Way at one point, but takes forever to make the cover. Rhino also kind of comes in to like block anyone coming in, but that's what caused the break as Rhino gets shoved into the cover, breaking it up. Rhino's tagged in, sets up for the gore, but someone, we didn't see who because the camera was at a weird angle, takes Doring off the apron. This distracts Rhino, allowing Anderson to come in, hits the gun stun. Gallows tags in No Way. Gallows tags No Way to come into the match, beg your pardon. And the Magic Killer giving Gallows and Anderson their second Impact Championship reign. New tag team champions.
I actually thought they were fired.
From Impact?
Yeah. Don't know why. but I thought they were fired. And then I seen they were in this match, and I was like, where did I get that from?
No, they like Kenny Omega have been on Impact constantly. I feel really bad for people that are not fans of them because they have to see them on 2 TV shows.
Yeah, I know. No, I thought obviously not actually fired, but I thought they were kayfabe fired, and they were just there because they're pals with Don.
Maybe you're thinking of when Don got fired then.
Yeah, that may be what I'm thinking of.
Because Don got kayfabe fired because he left his position in real life.
Yeah.
Or maybe he got fired from real life. I don't know.
I would think he probably left it. I think he's got a wee cushy job with AEW now.
Yeah, I reckon so. I mean, hell, he's arguably the greatest fucking manager that's on television right now. Sorry, Paul.
Oh, shots fired.
Boom, boom.
I think him and Heyman are pretty much on par with each other.
Yeah, and to be honest,
I don't think Heyman's as effective with Roman as he is with Brock, because Roman's more than capable of doing his own talking.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Like, Heyman doesn't do as much now, but that's because he isn't needed to do as much. Like, with Brock Lesnar, he is 100% needed for his role, whereas with Roman, it is a nice addition, but Roman can do his own thing.
Yeah.
But I feel like it works, like the two of them together. So I'm not sad about it.
I'm not sad about it. It totally works. And it's definitely going to build to at some point down the line, Brock coming back and then Heyman being in the middle. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Who's it going to be?
Hopefully no Universal title on the line, though, when that happens.
It probably is. Well, at this point, think about it, like, they've had 2 WrestleMania main events. The first one ended in Seth Rollins, and the second one, Brock wins. So this time, it needs to be a big Roman win to set up for the inevitable number 4.
Yeah, I suppose.
But the thing is, Brock versus this Roman, yes, I'll take that all day because I'm invested now, which is something I was absolutely not before the last couple of times he wrestled.
Yeah, I'd agree with you in that one.
But something else I was invested in was finding out the mystery opponent for Deonna Purrazzo as she defended her Knockouts Women's Championships. Because I put S's at the end of all those words for some reason. So, did you have someone in your head that you were thinking of that might have...
completely convinced it'd be Mickie James.
Yeah. I think a lot of people kind of were. Or potentially I was thinking that they were going to swerve us and maybe have one of the Iconics with the other one at ringside. Like, just to... Yeah. But I was definitely fully expecting somebody from the recent releases to come out. And, well, this was a swerve because the mystery woman was Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa.
Yeah, I really did not see it being Thunder Rosa.
Wasn't a bad little surprise either. But
no, definitely not.
Once again, though, if you're not a fan of Thunder Rosa, boy, will you be unhappy if you watch NWA, AEW, and Impact.
Yeah, you've seen her on 3 shows.
3 shows.
Although I can't fathom anyone that wouldn't be a fan of Thunder Rosa.
I never used to be. Definitely came around. Because when she was on Lucha Underground, I thought she was fucking awful. And so it just kind of, that stigma stuck with me, so that every time I seen Thunder Rosa, I was like, ugh, she sucks. And then, like, she was pulling out good matches, like, oh, fuck, maybe she actually got good.
Yeah.
Who'd have thunk?
Is she not quite new to wrestling? I'm sure she's only been wrestling a couple of years.
It's a good question, actually. Because maybe that is the case. Like maybe when she was in Lucha Underground, she was relatively new, and that's why her matches sucked.
Yeah, to Google I go.
Yes, please do. I was about to do it, but I can run down this match while you do it. So, coming near the end of this match, it wasn't like a massively long match, to be honest, which is something that I keep bringing up when it comes to Deonna Purrazzo, is she does not have long matches, and it makes me wonder if she can. Like, is she built for that?
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't know. I can't quite put a finger on what I'm trying to say, but every match of hers, like especially like being the champion, they do not go like overly long, especially on pay-per-view. In fact, sometimes feel like they're shorter. But getting towards the sort of end half of the match, swig of vodka for the working man. Deonna locks in her armbar at one point, attempts to go for the second arm, with Rosa countering into a sleeper, which Deonna breaks, and locks in some more armbar action. After a short exchange of punches and kicks, Rosa goes for the Thunder Rosa driver, which gets countered into a roll-up. Then, just like literally out of nowhere, Deonna's like, right, I'm bored of this now, just picks up Thunder Rosa, hits the Queen's Gambit pile driver, 1, 2, 3, and Deonna retains the championship.
Yep, as expected.
Yeah.
I thought she was retaining anyway, but I also thought Mickie James was going to be the opponent. Thunder Rosa debuted in 2014 and signed with Lucha Underground in 2015, so she'd basically been wrestling less than a year.
There you go. Right. Well, everything has been at least restored in the world in terms of, right, she was relatively new, so that's why she was at least bad when she was in Lucha Underground. Well, all this talk of Mickie James, it's just making me a bit hardcore country. I don't even know what that means. But hardcore country does blare through the speakers in the Impact Zone as Mickie James comes out, making her return to Impact. And then she starts talking about how she's happy to be in front of a crowd again. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, I'll bet it is. Because one of the last times that Mickie James appeared on television, she was in the Thunderdome and lost that match to Asuka, where the ref just decided that she was injured and stopped the match. So
yeah,
Mickie James,
fuck.
Mickie James stopped selling like the Asuka lock and being like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah.
She doesn't come out to fight though. She comes out to talk and asks Deonna if she wants to come aboard for the NWA Empowered pay-per-view, which is in August. Which is going to be a big weekend because NWA, 2 pay-per-views in 2 days. We have the Empowered pay-per-view, the all-women's NWA event, and then the next night, NWA 73. And those 2 shows combined will probably be less than one night of WrestleMania was this year.
Yeah, probably.
NWA pay-per-views go 2 hours.
Yeah.
So,
I would be surprised if Empower's only like 90 minutes.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I suppose it's all going to depend on how many women they can get for it.
Mm-hmm.
But they seem to have Deonna on board. They've got Camille, their NWA champion. If they could get Britt Baker, that would be interesting.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind. I think me and Robert were kind of speaking about this. There was this fake poster put up of like a match graphic of Deonna versus Britt Baker, and why not just do it? Like maybe have it as like a 20-minute time limit and just have them go to the time limit. No titles on the line or both on the line, and then it be a draw so that no company gets butthurt about their champion losing, I suppose.
Nah, I'm into the two of them wrestling, 100%. But nah, I hate finishes like that. Like it should just be no titles. It should just be because they're both the leaders of the respective women's division. So it should be about which division's better. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And knowing AEW, they'd probably be like, it's all right. We could just be Impact. It's fine. And then NWO will probably be like, yeah, you're right.
I actually thought that they might be building towards an Impact title match on the pay-per-view.
Yeah, with Mickey.
Yeah, with Mickey, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it definitely seemed a lot more likely after this when Deanna's kind of like, oh, well, of course you want me for your show. But she says, you say that you respect me, but you don't give me the respect for me to have my moment. So why don't you just grab your trash bag and get out of here?
Ooh. Pow! Right in the kisser.
Blam. So Mickey hits a spinning heel kick in her high heels, which she's incredibly good at doing.
Yep.
Like she's clearly been practicing that at home.
Just heel kicking the Wayne.
Or Magnus.
Aye. It was more fun to say the Wayne though.
Yeah, true that. But it's just she's been doing that for years. Like every time Mickey comes out, she's in high heels, and then you're like, oh well, clearly no interaction is going to happen because she's wearing high heels, and then she like fucking does something like that in high heels. It's like, how are you able to do that? How do you not have shattered fucking ankles right now?
Yeah, it's
Fucking
insane.
Sid Vicious limbs.
I don't know about you, but I can't even walk in high heels.
Like what I do in my own time is none of your business, all right? Yeah, so it's obviously I'm going to be watching these pay-per-views anyway. I will try and see if I can get someone to maybe watch them with me, and maybe we can have a little chatter about them. But with the way that NWA has been going recently, it's actually like really starting to build up. I don't know if you know anything that's going on in NWA at the moment.
Nah, not really.
Well, do you remember Trevor Murdoch from WWE?
Oh, actually, yeah, I do know he's in the world title match, isn't he?
Well, he was in a world title match at the last pay-per-view and he got screwed out of it. But the fact that they have made like not only Trevor Murdoch relevant in 2021, but like a fan favorite, like me and a friend of the show Sal watched the pay-per-view together, and we were like beyond heartbroken, like literally like heart shattered into a million pieces when he did not win the NWA title at the last NWA pay-per-view. And it's just like, then we kind of sat there for about 20 minutes afterwards going, do you just realize that we got like our dreams shattered about Trevor Murdoch not winning the world title, but the NWA world title, one of the longest going world titles in like wrestling? Like, what a weird sentence.
Yeah, that is weird. No, sorry, I thought that was still to come because I seen he said something in an interview that I seen shared on Facebook either today or yesterday, and it was about Triple H asking him for protection.
Oh yeah, that was a couple of weeks ago. That story.
Ah, okay, yeah, I just saw it shared. So
they thought that the Voodoo Kin Mafia, as they were known at the time, the New Age Outlaws were going to jump him.
Yep.
What a great story. And of all people, that's the two people you ask. I don't know. I would think there probably would have been more, bigger people that you probably could ask during that point. Where was Snitsky? He was probably around during that point.
Yeah, but it seems that they two were the fighters at the time.
I guess so.
Proper legit badasses.
I mean, Trevor Murdoch is a pretty badass fella. But do you know who else are badass fellas? the two people in our main event of the evening for the Impact World Championship, no disqualifications, as Sami Callihan took on Kenny, by God, Omega. Woo! Right, so before we get into it, were you hyped? Did you care at all about this? What was your feelings going into this sort of match?
No, I was really looking forward to it. Sami Callihan's a wrestler that's really grown on me in the last year.
Mm-hmm.
So him versus Omega, I was well up for.
Yeah.
Well up for it.
I've been very big on Callihan for the past couple of years now, and was ecstatic when he won his first world title. And to be honest, like, this was the closest that I ever bit to thinking that he might do it again. Especially since the first 10 seconds of the match consisted of Sami Callihan hitting his pile driver finisher and getting a deep 2 count off of that. Then the toys came into play with highlights including Sami Callihan using a pizza cutter on Kenny Omega's noggin. Omega bringing out a fork at another moment in the match, popping Sami in the face multiple times, and then fish hooking Sami's cheeks with it, which looked gruesome. Kenny doing his infamous double stomp on a table on top of Sami. Sami hits a pile driver and Omega through a table on the outside. There's a sidewalk slam to an upside down table, so the bottom bit is facing upwards by Sami on Omega. Omega gets sent through a wooden board via powerbomb for a deep 2 count. There's a pile driver from Sami onto a steel chair covered in barbed wire for another 2 count. But the way that they done that was they gave the out as Sami was beat down, so he had this really shitty cover, which allowed Kenny Omega to kind of roll a shoulder out. Kenny at one point with a salt to the eyes of Sami, this causing Sami to hit a pile driver on the referee as a result. There's a belt shot and then a pile driver by Kenny for a 2 count as the second referee comes in. Then after the kick out, Kenny attacks the second referee and throws him out. For Don to have the funny line of, well, referees are like the lowest form of life. I mean, probably other than wrestling commentators. No offense, guys. And then they kind of sit there and go, I think it was D'Lo that goes, well, I'm a color commentator, so it's not the same thing. No. Plus, I should probably mention Matt Striker being on the call all night, and I never thought I would be excited for Matt Striker to be on the call, but when Josh Matthews was on Impact again recently commentating, it made me very happy to hear that Striker came back.
Yeah. Josh Matthews infuriates the fucking life out of me. We've had this discussion.
Yeah. Sami brings in the tacks, but Don distracts, allowing Kenny to throw a handful of tacks into Sami's face. Where have I seen that before recently? Then a V-trigger. Then Kenny Omega does his old Terminator pose in the middle of the ring, except with the knee in the tacks. And then he pulls the knee up, and you're like, oh my God, it's going to be full attacked. Oh, wait, no, there's nothing there. So he rams his knee back into the tacks a whole bunch of times. Then hits another V-trigger with tacks into the face of into the face of Sami Callihan. Then he does yet another V-trigger, this time pouring more tacks into the mouth of Sami Callihan as he does it. One winged angel into the tacks. 1, 2, 3, and Kenny Omega retains the Impact World Championship. But
Sorry, continue.
Just that was it. By God.
I actually thought he was going to drop it in this.
Genuinely, so did I. As I kind of said at the beginning of this, like it felt like if there was anybody he was going to drop it to, it was going to be Sammy, just purely for the kind of way that it's the same kind of story as Moxley when they their lights out match of this isn't exactly Kenny Omega's game.
Yeah.
But then it also kind of like, see if you really think about it, which is something that just came to mind there. It's almost as if over the past, like since the Moxley match, that Kenny Omega has become a hell of a lot more accustomed to this kind of match. So if you really want to look at it in that kind of way, he's probably not as out of his depth as he used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that you can kind of work off of. Of course, I beat Sami Callihan. Yeah, it was no DQ, but you've seen how many of these matches I've had recently. I've took Moxley pillar to post, then I beat him in a barbed wire match, exploding barbed wire match. And so, yeah, but like
an aggravated sparkler match.
Oh, angry! Sparklers. So we think that's the end of it. Kenny Omega is there. He's celebrating until the lights go out, and then a name flashes on the screen, and that name is Jay White. The never openweight champion has made his way to Impact Wrestling. And the squeals of excitement between me and Robert on Saturday were unparalleled.
They were. I witnessed them.
And then I'm sitting there like screaming like, "What the fuck? Jay White's here!" And then I'm like, "I'm not even a fan of Jay White. Oh my god!"
So is Jay White taking the title off Omega?
I don't know. I think that's going to be really strange if it is. So it's just like two New Japan, well, one AEW guy, former New Japan guy, and one current New Japan guy wrestling for the Impact title. It's odd, but I kind of think that maybe if Jay White wins, it kind of maybe seems as if it may be easier for him to then drop it to somebody else.
Yeah, but potentially.
The thing with that is he did come out with the never openweight title. So he is a champion currently in New Japan. With that match happening in about 2 weeks, New Japan Strong Resurgence or something like that, where he's going to be co-main eventing with Finlay for that belt. So, saying all that, Jay White gets in the ring, stares down Kenny and the Good Brothers who are there. They all hold up the too sweet. And then you see somebody running out from the back. And then we go off air. Now, I looked up what happened when Slammiversary went off the air. And apparently, according to Tuna Meltzer, that was how that show was meant to go off air. Apparently, it was meant to be a tease, or maybe even it was meant to go off at the moment of them posing, and you weren't meant to see somebody running out. But I feel like regardless of the way that it happened, that was a whole. This is what happened when Slammiversary went off the air on the next Impact. So anyway, apparently Finlay and Jay White ran out. No, Finlay and Juice Robinson ran out, and Jay White laid them both out. And they're like, as you should, it's Juice Robinson.
Yeah. Okay. Agreed.
Mm-hmm. So that's how the pay-per-view ends, and Jay White and Impact. Let's see what we got here.
Yep, and I've seen that he is confirmed to be on Impact tomorrow night.
Yes, and to be honest, I actually do know a spoiler for Impact. Try and remind me, and I'll tell you after the fact.
Okay.
As we're done. Don't know how you'll take it, but we'll chat about it later. But
Yeah,
we shall move on now to the Sunday night pay-per-view extravaganza. Another packed house, packed to another sold out. Yes, because Slammiversary was sold out apparently.
To like the 6 people that were allowed to go.
26 people, yes. So we move on to Money in the Bank with WWE just finally getting fans back into attendance. SmackDown the night before was a pretty fun show back in front of people. What did you think about the new stage, first of all? Because it's clearly going to be the same stage for every pay-per-view, every Raw, every SmackDown.
It's okay. It's not as grand and spectacular as I was hoping for.
It is definitely a screen.
Yep.
With a wee hole in it for people to walk out. So we start off with the Money in the Bank kickoff show. The Usos, or the Uso as I wrote here, just one of them, took on the Mysterios for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships.
Well, only one of them is actually into this, so yeah, it really is just the Uso.
And I believe this is the second time in his career where Jimmy Uso gets a DUI and then probably becomes SmackDown Tag Team Champion.
The problem is, though, they were too invested in the story to pull it.
I know. I would imagine there was at least some hefty fines or something backstage.
Yeah. See people that don't really follow wrestling, right? But don't follow it religiously, but watch the shows like a casual fan. Will be like, oh, they're building the Usos to win the tag titles, and then when they don't, they'll be like, why did that happen? And then they Google it, and then they're like, oh. So I think that's maybe got something to do with it.
There's a nice little bit of like kind of, hints to it later on in the night, which I at least appreciated. So the Mysterios had this dumb special entrance for the match where it's like the two of them appear on screen, like it's doing like close-ups of them in suits. They're adjusting these shiny metal watches and stuff that they have. Then they kind of walk up. It's like, oh, you ready? Yeah, I'm ready. And then this portal appears, and then they both walk through it. And then the portal appears on screen, and it just looks like some weird Rick and Morty TikTok fucking whatever those things are called. What do you call those things?
Vignette video.
Filter? Well, filter. That's the word.
Yeah. Got there eventually.
Yeah. So it's just them making their usual ass entrance, but then there's some weird portal filter on the screen. It's like, wow, that looks like shit. What the fuck? So finish of this match comes with Ray going for the 619 on Jimmy as Jay intercepts and takes the blow. There's a super kick and a splash on Ray, which gets a deep 2 count. The Usos then set up for a double splash, but Dominic tries to put a stop to that. So he eats some ring post for his troubles. Jimmy throws Ray over his head and into the turnbuckles. Then he goes for a roll-up. And as he has the roll-up, Jay slides in with his feet onto the back of Jimmy, holding him in position for the pinfall. And we have new SmackDown Tag Team Champions.
Woohoo! The Usos. I would quite like to have seen Ray and Dominic get a bit of a longer run, but I'm also not against the Usos.
To be honest, their run ended the second that they won them. Like, everybody, they just wanted to have the moment of them winning. Nobody really gave a fuck about how long they held them for.
Yeah, it was all about the chase, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was about the chase and then finally winning, and then who cares? Like, what to do? And man and his kid won. But then, like, that whole feud was a bit null and void anyway, because the pay-per-view match happened on SmackDown, and the whole way that, like, the whole build-up was Reigns attacking Dominic, and then Ray coming out every week going, "You hurt my boy! You hurt my boy!" And it's like, you make it sound like he's like a 10-year-old that Roman beat up and not a fully grown professional wrestler that works for a professional wrestling company.
Yeah.
It was weird, man. And this is the thing. Like, we'll see when it comes to Rey Mysterio. Great in-ring talent, but you really lose me as soon as you touch that microphone.
He's never been a strong talker. That's never been his thing.
I know, like, he talks a lot for somebody that's fucking horrendous at it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Rey Mysterio would be a lot better if he just cut his promos in Spanish.
Yeah, and then you just had subtitles.
Yeah.
Because Lauren knows he tries to spit enough Spanish in his fucking English-speaking ones.
I know, yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm happy enough because I like the idea of when a faction has all the gold.
Yeah.
Which I'm kind of hoping that maybe DK, as in the Black Taurus and Crazy Steve, might nab those male tag team titles, and then you'll have all of DK with tag titles.
Yeah. I'm the same as you. I love factions that have all the gold.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that Bronson Reed's putting the idea out on Twitter that he should be allowed to join the Bloodline so he can go and get the Intercontinental title?
Interesting.
Is there anyone else that could join?
There is another Anna Wahoo. What was their surname?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. Because remember, there was a feud a couple of years ago with somebody and Roman Reigns, and they brought out another, like, genuine relative who was a wrestler, and I think that dude might actually work for MLW. So technically, yes, there is another, like, wrestler relatively around their age that wrestles that's a family member, and probably, like, as direct as the rest of them are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably.
I'm just surprised at this point that you don't put fucking Tamina and Nia Jax back together and have them follow around as well, since they're in the family tree.
Yeah, so they are. I didn't think of that.
Or the fact that fucking Tamina
Tamina
still has a job, never mind a title.
Is Tamina in the family tree?
Mm-hmm. She's related to the Usos.
All right, fair enough. Nia definitely is, but
yeah, because Rikishi is what's his face? Tamina's dad is like Rikishi's uncle, I want to say. And then Rikishi is the father of the Usos.
Yeah.
So then that means Tamina being the daughter of Snuka would mean that they're cousins. I think. Something like that.
All Samoans are related to each other in wrestling. Let's just stick with that.
Except Samoa Joe.
Yeah, who's like the only one that made it. Although, to be fair, had Samoa Joe not been fired from the main roster, I would quite like to have seen him join to kind of be like that mid-card guy, but he wouldn't be happy being the mid-card guy, and then they'd build it to the eventual breakup, and then we get Roman versus Samoa Joe for the title.
Like, that's what they could do, is like they don't need to exactly make it a bloodline at that point. They could just have him be a protege or an underling, or just kind of one of those things where it's like, oh, we'll take you under the wing. And then it would also make sense because it's backhanded in a way, because Roman's like, I'll take you under my wing, and we'll make you the wrestler you're supposed to be, when Samoa Joe has about 3 times the years of wrestling experience that Roman Reigns has.
Aye, totally.
But he just keeps saying that, and Joe just keeps taking it, but like he always has that grimace on his face, like, you know that I've been doing this a hell of a lot longer than you have. You motherfucker.
I am considerably more experienced and considerably more decorated than you are.
Anything that you can even dream of doing, done it.
Yep.
Speaking of things that people dream of doing, these 8 women dreamed to climb a ladder and hold a briefcase. But only one of them could do it. But those 8...
I want to climb the corporate ladder and have like a really expensive briefcase that I can get drunk and lose in the pub sometime.
To be honest, a corporate ladder last year.
See if I won Money in the Bank, I genuinely would do that. I'd get drunk and leave the briefcase somewhere.
Yeah, as you tend to do with a lot of things.
Because apparently, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Baron Corbin was talking about it on an interview. They actually make you carry it about. So,
I would not be surprised.
So like he used it as like his carry-on for the plane where they were flying places. So he put like his iPad and his charger and stuff like that in it.
That's amazing. Which is probably why when Damien Sandow had it, that he made it an almost legitimate, actionable briefcase. Because at least at that point, it would have looked kind of classy. But said briefcase was the women's briefcase, as I kind of alluded to, with the 8 participants in this match being Alexa Bliss, Liv Morgan, Nikki, ASH, now that they've finally figured out what her name is, Natalya, Tamina, Zelina Vega, Naomi, and Asuka. Claim the ladder, get yourself a championship match. Anytime, anywhere. So this was kind of interesting because, like, on SmackDown we kind of got to see reactions of the crowd when it came to some wrestlers on the SmackDown roster, but we had not seen any of the Raw roster, obviously, in front of fans yet. So this was kind of the first time for some people. The first, obviously, being Alexa Bliss, which got an absolutely gigantic pop, especially at the point when she ripped her dress off. Chris, you look bemused.
No, I'm laughing. Sorry. I went to get a beer there, and Fergal was playing with a ball, with bells in it. And he brought the ball over and left it at my feet, and then kind of stood like 5 yards away.
Oh, no.
Wanted me to throw the ball for him, basically. So I kicked this ball as hard as I could, and it rattled him in the face.
God damn it.
I was like, no, that was not my intention.
I hate when shit like that happens.
So I now have a very pissed off cat.
Oh man, that reminds me very, very quickly of a story one time a long time ago. I think I was like having a bad dream or something, and I kind of woke up, but like probably at the same time that I woke up from the bad dream. Taco, who's now just hanging about in the fucking kitchen for some reason, leapt on my chest. So I kind of woke up and accidentally just punched him square in the face. And then it was like, oh my god, Taco. So he's been trying to run away, because I've just punched him in the face. And I'm grabbing him and cuddling. I'm like, I'm so sorry. He's just like, let me go. And then I wake up, Kat the human, and she's like, what's going on? What's going on? And it's just like, I just woke up and accidentally punched Taco square in the face. And she's like, I thought he was having a seizure because he was so frantically flailing about that she was like, I thought he was having a seizure. And it's like, no, I just punched him and now he's trying to leave me.
Fuck's sake. I've had a few weird ones as well. Where stepped in Fergal's paw at least 5 times.
Yeah.
Because what he does is he comes up behind me and lies down directly behind me. Usually when I'm in the kitchen, because I think it's because the floor's cooler than everywhere else. So then I take half a step back and I stand on him without feel.
Yeah. It's the same thing with him as well. Just anytime I'm in the kitchen, he wanders in behind me and just lays directly behind me. So the second that I turn around, I either have to do that big stupid cat leap to jump over him or I stand on him.
Aye.
And my sobriety really depends on that as well. Because he's always looming about whenever I'm making nachos and it's like, there's chicken here.
I'd just before we came on and started recording this, I had a handful of cold meat out the fridge. And Fergal clocked it, and he came over and sat at my feet whilst I was eating it and just meowed at me until I gave him a bit. And I'm like, how do you even know that this is food you like?
I know.
How?
Literally every time I make a sandwich, Taco is just right there, just nah. It's like those little cartoons you see on the internet. I think it's called Simon's Cat or something, where it's just always the cat just goes, and then sticks his big stupid gob open and points at his mouth like me. Cats. What do we do? What would we do without them? Probably significantly easier, to be honest. But
I genuinely don't know what I would do, man. Without the cat. The cat's fucking my best pal these days.
I know. I know. They can be wee dicks at times. They really can. But at the same time, it's just you just don't know what you would do without them.
Yeah.
And then even just meeting cats at work and all that as well. It's just you could be my friend. Be my friend.
Yeah.
So that's the latest episode of Turning Cat.
I'm turning cat. I really think meow. Bow, 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 bow.
I think I'm turning feline. I really think meow. Meow, 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 meow. Yeah, so we're talking about Big Pops with Alexa Bliss, who clearly has brand new gear that she's debuting on this show. But one of the massive pops that I was not expecting was when Liv Morgan came out. The pop she had, you would think fucking John Cena came out.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. And fair play on WWE, because they've kind of been building on the last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And what they've been doing has clearly worked. So fair play to them.
Yeah, plus she is very likable.
Yeah, she is. I also didn't know this, right? I didn't know that she's going out with Bo Dallas. I just found that out the other day.
Wow. Talking about punching above your weight.
Yeah, totally, man.
Oh, well. Congrats, brother.
It just shows what happens when you both leave. When you when you believe, you boating Liv Morgan.
you when you believe, you live your best life. So getting into the actual match, Bliss tries to use her powers to go for the case like right away, but Asuka stops her. Later in the match, Bliss hypnotizes Zelina Vega when they're both at the top of the ladder, controlling her to climb down the ladder, and then Bliss tries to boost back up to get the case herself. There is this weird point where it was Liv Morgan and Natalia like just stood with a ladder between them for about 5 straight minutes. It was as if they picked up the ladder and then forgot the spot that they were meant to do, and they just farted about with it for so long. Then later in the match, Naomi is fighting both tag champs at one point. Natalia then sells for a move that Tamina gets hit with when Naomi goes for a spinning kick, hits Tamina, and Natalia also goes, "Oh!" It was nowhere near you. Why did you do that?
Yeah, that was really bad.
And every time somebody went up a ladder, it was always Natalia that was there to pull them off. I don't know if they were deliberately trying to make her annoying by just constantly being on camera. But it was annoying.
Yeah. They might well have been.
Yeah, because I think that they're clearly meant to be heels, but then there's the occasion where they're against other heels. It's very confusing. But now they're back in front of crowds, I think they can work on who's actually a heel and who's a face, whereas with the Thunderdome, it can be kind of just in the middle.
Yeah, as they can pick and choose.
Yeah. There's a point where Nikki is on a ladder on the outside and she dives onto everyone in the ring. A point where Bliss gets taken out on the outside and everybody buries her with ladders. And then Natalia's right next to the camera and she turns around and she's like, "She deserved that." And it's like, God, you are about fucking... She's probably only in about her mid-30s, but she talks and acts like she's fucking 65 years old.
Oh, she annoys the life out of me now. Like I am done with Natalia. I think time for her to be moved on.
Yeah.
Give her a backstage role with her husband or something. Like,
yeah.
She annoys the fucking ever-loving fuck out of me.
Oh, she's been annoyed the ever-loving fuck out of me ever since her fucking debut. Her voice goes through me like nobody else's. There's been a couple of periods where I've kind of slightly appreciated her, but for the most part, I can't stand the woman.
The only time I can think of that I've properly went, Natalia, I'm glad that you've won, was that episode of Raw after her dad died.
Yeah.
And the crowd gave her the big ovation and all that, and I was like, that was quite nice. But any other time, nope.
Nope. You're a pain.
Yep, not for me.
And again, as I say, you talk like you're 65 years old.
Yeah.
So Bliss gets buried by ladders, and then the remaining 6 then set up 3 ladders, and they're all fighting each other on the top of these ladders. And then Nikki ASH, they figured out what they want to actually call her, just flies up, just runs past everybody, bang, steals the fucking briefcase.
It was such a good finish. I didn't see it coming at all.
Because that never happens when these spots happen.
Yeah.
So that's why I actually kind of appreciated it, was because this is the first time where something like this has actually happened, where there's been a massive schmoz, and then somebody just runs up and just goes, ha ha ha, yoink, bitch.
Yeah. No, it's like, as I was watching it, I actually went to make breakfast, and that spot was happening when they were all on top of the ladder.
Yeah, so you instantly thought, okay, something's going to happen, ladders are going to get knocked over, and yada yada.
No, like, I was like, well, this isn't going to be the finish because someone's going to topple all the ladders. So I went into the kitchen. So obviously, as you know, that my new flat, the kitchen's like a open plan sort of thing, so I could still see the TV whilst I was in putting the sausages on. And then I just heard the bell, and I was like, what the fuck? And I looked, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, where did that come from? Like,
out of nowhere.
Yeah, totally out of nowhere. But I'm delighted. Like, I genuinely, it was the only time in this pay-per-view where I genuinely popped.
I'm trying to think if that was yeah, probably.
I would have probably popped at the end, but I got that spoiled for me before I watched it, so I knew it was happening. So it was just kind of like,
yeah. I think I had an inkling as well. Like, I think it was. I think it might have actually been when I went on to YouTube to get the pre-show up, and like one of the sponsored ads just had John Cena's new T-shirt, and it was like, huh,
yeah,
that's weird. So then, when the fucking main event segment happened, it's like, oh, Reigns is ending this pay-per-view with a promo. I wonder who's coming out.
Yeah. I wonder who it could be. But to be fair, though, the pop he got was fucking brilliant. Like, from the live crowd.
Kross? Or...
No, Cena.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll give them that.
Did you see the thing they put up on Twitter? Like, his promo after they went off the air?
I did not.
No, they cut a promo after he went off the air. And he was like, obviously everyone was cheering. And he's like, this is so strange. And he's like, normally you guys are telling me how much I suck. And then he's like,
we're still like a good amount that were.
And then there's a guy in the crowd with a sign. He pointed him out. And he's like, there's a guy with a sign over there that says, if Cena shows up, we cheer. And he's like, is this Bizarro World?
Yeah.
But it was fucking strange. But yeah, like the atmosphere when he came out was fucking awesome. But I didn't really pop for it because I knew it was coming. Thanks, Facebook.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I also got spoiled about something that happened on Raw. So, but yeah, actually, like, to be honest, still pop for it anyway. But anyway, we'll get into that as we said. So the Golden Bloodline were backstage after this. Roman starts to give them props. Then he says, "Oh yeah, that was the easy part. I've been doing the heavy lifting." And then he starts kind of running them down like, Jay, I have made you a main event star. And then he goes, and you? And then it just turned close up on Jimmy. Well, like Jimmy just like, I didn't do it. Didn't do anything. And then that was kind of it. So then Roman says, right, I'm giving you what you want, and they're giving me what I want. And then they both acknowledge him, one being a lot more sincere than the other. And big hugs all around from the Golden Bloodline. The Viking Raiders took on AJ Styles and Omos for the Raw Tag Team Championships. And the Viking Raiders come out and have pyro. Is that a first? Because I do not remember them having pyro before.
It very well could be because they debuted at the time where they just stopped doing pyro.
But I can't even remember if they had pyro during the pandemic era. Or the Thunderdome era.
Were they not out for most of it though?
Yeah, but they came back within the past like month or two, so one would have thought that if they're like, I just genuinely can't remember, but
Yeah.
I feel like when they were doing their entrance and pyro went off, I was like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that to happen.
I think, see, every pay-per-view, every entrance should have pyro.
Yeah.
They don't need to do it every week on TV, but every pay-per-view, it should be done because it should be made to feel big. Do you know what I mean?
Hell, see, back in the fucking day, and like this is how deep and this is how obscure I'm about to get with this. Gonna stretch for this one. Remember Carlito's cousin Primo?
Yep.
Well, when he debuted in WWE, he had this very delightful spinning pyro that was on like one of the sides of the stage. It was just like little Catherine wheels. But you know what? No matter what show he was on, whether it was Monday Night Raw or WWE Superstars, he got his little Catherine wheel pyro in the corner. And it's just one of those little things, like little Jobber Primo. It just has like this unique to him pyro with the little Catherine wheel just
Aye.
so odd.
Yeah. What I did notice though that they've started doing is bringing back the pyro sound effect without any actual pyro, which
Yeah, like Rhea Ripley's entrance.
I hate it, man. Yeah.
It works for Rhea Ripley's entrance. Like, because like the kind of stomp that she does, it works with that. But yeah, there's a lot of other people that it doesn't. So I can understand.
Yeah. Apollo used to be the worst for it back in the day. Like during his entrance, you'd hear the pyro go off. And
Yeah.
you know fucking Apollo's not got pyro. Right?
I know. It's
James
just
as well, actually.
who?
James as well.
Yeah.
James's entrance.
I think they still do.
Yeah.
Like the dun 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 dun. It's like, why not just have like a couple of like fucking things just go boom? Like green pyro, you can get green pyro.
Yeah. Pyro's surely not that expensive to run.
Jeez.
Don't get me wrong, it doesn't need to be Goldberg level pyro. Just fucking a wee bang is all you need. Do you know what I mean?
Like, well, that's what I was about to say before I almost choked on my own excitement. One would think that the amount of money that it takes to blow up the thing to make the noise, it wouldn't cost that much more to just have a bit of fireworks go boom.
They probably get that from, that's probably already pre-recorded and they've just bought the rights to use it from somewhere. Like a sound effects studio or something.
No, well, here's a little tidbit for you from my new favourite podcast, Fang and Bang with Gangrel.
All right, fair enough.
He was telling a story one time about how back when he used to come up from under the stage with the Awesome Brute entrance, there was one time he was just not feeling in the right mindset. So he's like, right, I'm going to go down there early, not talk to anybody, and I'm just going to warm up down here and get ready. But like the match before his was Kane. And obviously with the pyro that they have, like they have the extra boom so that it adds to the effect. So when Kane's pyro went off, like he genuinely is deaf in one ear now because of that.
Fuck's sake.
So like they do actually make that noise like in-house when they use the pyro. It's just one of the things that they do. It makes the pyro sound more exciting because I would reckon like if they do it without the pyro would just be like in fact, here's the perfect explanation for that. See, whenever they do shows, I think it's like Madison Square Garden, like and then they have the pyro just kind of coming up from like above the stage.
Uh-huh.
They don't have those big metal boxes that they have the pyro in to make the boom effect. So when you hear the pyro, it just goes off, and it's just like, psh, 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 psh. And it's so different because of the weird way that Madison Square Garden is set up as an arena.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah. So it's just something that they do to try and make pyro sound more exciting by making biggie booms.
Yeah. All right, fair enough.
Oh, right, yeah. I was like, how the fuck did we even get onto that? Right.
Yeah,
The Viking Raiders.
Yeah, sorry, Viking Raiders.
Don't call them by the road names. So during this match, there was just this weird shot of the crowd, even to the point that the commentators got thrown off because it was like they just showed the crowd and it kind of looked like they were looking for someone, as if someone was making their way through the crowd, and even the commentators were like, and then it just cut back to the ring, and they were like, okay. So a bit of a production flub from WWE. What? There's a point in this match where Ivar whips AJ and Eric that hits this gross sounding like high knee. A point where Ivar's on top and almost hits a body slam for a deep 2, but that's Ivar coming off the top rope and then technically going even higher because Omos is so goddamn tall. AJ goes for the forearm at one point, but the Raiders then hit the Viking Experience, which gets a deep 2 as Omos throws Eric onto the cover to break it. And then the double arm chokeslam onto Eric, and AJ and Omos retain the tag team titles. But I would argue that this match had no right to be as good as it was. I don't know what it is, but I just thought the Viking Raiders looked absolutely amazing in this match.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting much from it. I actually considered fast forwarding it, but I didn't. There was a match I did fast forward, but I remember that was near the time. But yeah, it was a pretty decent match, and they're probably going to have another one, and I'm all for it.
Yeah. Again, I don't know what it was. Like, obviously, Viking Raiders I know are very, very good tag team, but maybe it was just the fact that the two of them were wrestling AJ Styles.
Yeah.
I don't know, just something so simple as that.
I've just remembered what match it was. I fast forwarded, and based on what I've seen on social media, I believe I may have made a mistake. But we'll talk about it when we get there.
All right. Kofi versus the almighty WWE champion was up next for the WWE Championship. So
there's 2 matches I fast forwarded. This was one of them.
Right. Okay. Well, is this still about the Bobby Lashley thing?
Nah, not really. It's just I haven't been watching Raw, so I wasn't really interested in it. I wasn't invested in it because I hadn't seen the build. Do you know what I mean? And we all knew, we knew Lashley was winning as well, so it was just about like. I wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting it to be short as it was. I only intended to like fast forward like half of it, and then I fast forwarded it for like 6 minutes, and then when I pressed play, it was showing the replay of the finish, and I'm like, okay, fair play. That was even worse than I thought it would be then.
Well, I think it all depends because of the story of the match.
Yeah. I mean, like. You knew Lashley was winning, but I thought it would be if it went a bit longer, and I was like, fast forward through not the guff at the start, but the feeling out process, etc.
Yeah,
just get to the meat and totties of it, and then only fast forwarded like 6 minutes, and then when I hit play, it was showing the replay whilst Lashley's music was blaring, and I was like, that was considerably quicker than I thought.
Yeah, well, considering the whole story going into it was the fact that both Kofi and Xavier have pinned the almighty WWE champion Bobby Lashley recently. Like Lashley has kind of says, right, well, MVP, you've made me soft with the kind of lifestyle that we live now. So now it's all down to business. And even then, like you kind of thought, well, we'll see how that goes exactly. But Jesus Christ, like this thing was nuts.
Yep.
So, what we had was Lashley absolutely bulldozing Kofi. Like I wrote originally in the notes, bulldozing Kofi in the early going as the match was going on, but then the bulldozing didn't stop at any point.
Yeah.
So throws Kofi into the outside to the outside from the ring with like a military press. Starts ramming Kofi into the ring post a good couple of times, tossing him around the ring and locking into Heartlock. Lashley then also throughout the match started hitting suplexes, and I don't know if this was just good Kofi selling or if it was a bit of sloppiness, but Kofi kept landing on his head. I would assume it's probably good Kofi selling, but
good Kofi selling.
These suplexes looked horrible. Lashley then just hit Dominator after Dominator after Dominator after Dominator. Then locked in the Heartlock, and Kofi goes to sleep. An absolute fucking massacre. And this worked really good. Just because of the storyline that was going into this, with like the last thing you seen on Raw was literally Lashley saying, "I am done with this, and things are gonna need to change." So he kind of like he didn't exactly give MVP an ultimatum per se, but at the same time, like he's like, things are going to change around here. It's either with me or against me. And as we've seen, MVP was with Lashley, so that was cool. But the change in Bobby Lashley in the span of less than a week was pretty awesome. And I know you were never the biggest fan of Lashley. Have you warmed to him at all when it comes to the title run?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I wouldn't say I wasn't a huge fan of him. It was more me wanting to see Drew going to WrestleMania as champions, as he didn't get a chance last time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm also I'm not a fan of Lashley, but I'm not completely against. I'm not against him. It's just kind of like I was saying earlier, not quite on the same level. But I'm not going to tune into Impact because no way Jose's on it. I'm not tuning into Raw because Bobby Lashley's on it. Do you know what I mean?
Interesting.
And however, what happens on Raw has kind of put me more on Lashley's side.
Well, now that this match is done, why don't we have a quick chat about it then?
Yeah, well, we're going to get Lashley versus Goldberg, and I always want Goldberg to lose, so I am Team Lashley.
Oh yeah. Well, right, we're saying that. How did you feel about Keith Lee returning to be a big job to Goldberg? No, the other one, Lashley.
I don't think he jobbed to him. They're pretty decent decent match. Lashley should be winning something like that comfortably because it's an open challenge and he's the champion.
I know, I'm just being an asshole.
Yeah, like I certainly wouldn't say it was a job, but yeah, I'm glad to see Keith Lee back. They fucking changed his music. Thank fuck for that.
Yeah, was that not the music he had for like the first, like, I don't know, month? Well, the last month before he disappeared for like 6 months for literally no explained reason.
Potentially, yes, but I can't remember that far back to what he was using. I just remember he had that awful generic thing.
Yeah, they bask in his glory. Yeah, he definitely changed it just before he left. Like,
Yeah.
because he was pulled out of like storylines abruptly for a reason that has not been explained, despite the fact they keep saying eventually I'll explain why. And now I'm just starting to think that literally he was pulled off of TV because they want him back in front of crowds.
I heard through various Twitter accounts, whether it's true or not, I heard the reason he was pulled is because he was in dispute over the rights to his name.
Seriously?
Yeah, it was to do with like the merchandising rights, because obviously Keith Lee is his real name. So it was to do with WWE wanting to have some sort of copyright on that, and him basically going, "No, it's my name."
Oh, he does seem like one of those kinds of people.
Fucking, and so he should be, because what happens when he leaves WWE? Then he can't make any money off his name.
No, but you can't copyright somebody's real name.
I know you can't, but you can. They can still have some sort of deal in place where WWE's getting a cut of it. Do you know what I mean? So it was apparent. I don't know how true it is. That's just what I read. It was to do with that, and it was to do with him basically playing hardball on I'm not signing away a percentage of my name to you when I might not even work for your company and still have to fucking pay you something. Do you know what I mean?
Interesting. If that ends up being the case, I mean, it's kind of one of those things like good for him for standing up for himself, but it's just also kind of one of those things where it's like, yeah, you do seem like one of these kinds of people that might be a bit awkward about things.
So you should be. I don't think it's the type of person that's not being awkward. That's fucking being sensible. Like, he's not fucking John Cena, where John Cena will make money despite himself. Do you know what I mean? Like, he'll go to Hollywood and he'll be making millions for probably another 20 years to come. He's not going to be doing that. So why should he be signing off a percentage of it to fucking WWE?
I know, but like, I feel like when you leave WWE, like they have absolutely no control over what you do.
Well, they don't, but if they're holding the copyright to your name, or at least a portion of it, then you can't use that without their permission. So if you're using it, then you'll have to be paying them a supplement from.
I know, but then again, I suppose the argument again is you can't copyright somebody's real name. So where does that come from? Because I've never heard anybody else that's used their real name in WWE that's ever had a problem with this.
You are 100% right. You can't copyright someone's name, but you can say you're not using that name.
Yeah, which is the main reason why WWE changed most people's names.
They're not copywriting it. They're asking for a royalty off it because we are putting you on this platform and all that, blah 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 blah.
I know, like, okay, this is interesting because like, it feels like they've never done that with anyone else before, though. Like, especially people that are using their real name in WWE. Which, granted, at this point, there's only a handful of people. But I don't know.
We'll try and see if I can find the article. Hold on.
I just like, I don't know, like I'm trying to think of like someone that's a bit lower down on the ladder that might still have their real name, because at this point there's very few. Or even, I don't know, wrestlers that, like, I don't know, Tommaso Ciampa. I don't think that's that guy's real name, but the fact that he's came in with his real name, I don't think he doesn't seem like the kind of person that would kind of sign that name away. So, like, I would imagine if he left the WWE and used that in the Indies, he could still go by Tommaso Ciampa.
Yeah, hold on. I'm trying to see if I can.
Yeah, no, I'm just talking to see if you can find it. No, if this is the case, then this is just bizarre, and it's kind of one of these things that makes me think that at this point, WWE as a company are just getting so fucking money grabbing, which is weird considering WWE is probably worth more than it ever has done.
Yep.
That they're willing to try and do something like this where they're going to try and copyright somebody's real name to get money off them.
Yeah. Well, I've just had a look now. I can't find the article, but most of the articles that are coming up seem to be that he wasn't medically cleared for whatever reason. But I definitely did see that at some point. It was to do with a dispute over royalties on his name.
It's so weird if it is.
But however, if it is medical reasons, then that would explain why it's not being, he hasn't said what it is, because he doesn't fucking know anything he has to tell us if he's got a health condition. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, true. But it's just also the way that, like, he continued to be in the dark about it, which is also very strange. Constantly saying stuff like, oh, when the time is right, you will know why I've not been on WWE TV in 6 months. And it's like, all you need to say is, I have a medical condition, and that's why I'm not on Raw. You don't need to talk about exactly why it is. Just give us a vague reason, and then we'll probably leave you alone. Because no doubt there are some fucking dweebuses that are on the internet that'll probably be harassing him every day, going, "Are you going to tell us yet? Are you going to tell us yet? Are you going to tell us yet?" And that probably would be arguably a hell of a lot worse.
Yeah. Well, I've just found an article there about the not medically cleared thing. That some Mia Yim interview, she rubbished it. But that's not why he's not back. So fuck knows what it was.
I know. Look, I don't know. Just say anything. Like, hell, even if it wasn't a medical issue, just say it was. Just say, I don't know, like, mental health.
Right, I found it.
Okay.
Right. Both Keith Lee himself and WWE tried to file a trademark on Keith Lee.
Uh-huh.
So because they both tried to do it.
So it's a dispute between them? Okay. Yeah. Is that it? Is there more to the story?
Yeah, well, basically all it is they both tried to trademark the name Keith Lee, and it then led to a dispute, and that's why it wasn't on TV. But I found the article. I knew I'd seen it. I definitely did see this article, but fuck knows. That many that say it's because he wasn't medically cleared. That might be bullshit. But
well, I think if it comes from the horse's other half's mouth, like the medical thing is a bit bullshit, then it sounds like that may be the case then, if that's it. So
yeah,
maybe WWE is finally kind of feeling like, all right, or maybe they came to a deal where, all right, you get like this low percentage and I get the rest of it.
Yeah. So basically, they both tried to file a trademark on Keith Lee, and the trademark was then rejected for both on the fact that the grounds were that Keith Lee refers to a person and not a service.
True, it does.
So yeah, it's definitely something to do with his name, I think. But
yeah, maybe it's something like, as long as he's in WWE get cut. But the second that he leaves WWE, if he's using his name in the Indies or whatever, like he gets full rights to that or something. Maybe it's what they finally came to, because obviously, as I say, like when any wrestler leaves WWE, they should have no obligations to do anything towards WWE.
Yeah.
Like, which is obviously the main reason why any wrestler who leaves WWE doesn't go by their WWE name anymore.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, that's what it was. Anyway, we've went on about that probably longer than we should have.
Oh, well, I got a lot done during that time, so
You got what?
I got a lot done during that time.
Fair enough.
I've refilled my drink and everything else in between. So this brings us on to Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley for the Raw Women's Championship.
This is the one I fast forward.
Oh, really? Interesting.
And from what I've seen on social media, I believe I made a mistake. 2 reasons it was fast forwarded through. Time. He's only had a set time to watch the rest of the pay-per-view because I was technically working.
Mm-hmm.
And also because I just cannot stand Charlotte Flair. I
Agreed.
don't want to see her on my TV in any capacity at all.
I've been done with her for Lord knows how long.
Yeah, me too.
And it's interesting, though. Right, we'll get through this first quickly. So, going through the match, Ripley misses a senton off the apron and splats it on the floor. There's a lot of "We Want Becky" chants during the match. Rhea with a beast of a German suplex at one point, folding Charlotte up like an accordion. Charlotte counters a drop kick to a Boston Crab, and it's just weird watching Charlotte do any other submission move that's not the figure eight. There's a massive botch during this match as Rhea goes for something. Like she's got like Charlotte's head between her legs, arms crossed. I think it's meant to be like a kind of twisting power bomb, because I've definitely seen that set up before. But when Charlotte flipped around, she did not go up for it. And so Rhea managed to save it by like kind of just having Charlotte dangling off her and then deadlift her. And I think this was 100% legit Rhea power, deadlifting her and hitting a suplex out of it to at least try and save it.
Mm-hmm.
Charlotte counters a Riptide with a DDT for 2, and that DDT looked meaty. Charlotte hits a shitty version of the big boot elbow combo that her hubby does, and I don't think he's allowed to do that anymore because, Judas effect. And then tries to pin Rhea with her feet on the ropes, so gets 2, and then argues with the referee, which is the same referee she attacked all those months ago, so she has to calm down. Unlike that dog that's outside. Charlotte counters a suplex into the natural selection from the top rope. Superplex. Don't know if I said suplex the first time. Counters a superplex into the natural selection from the top rope. The deepest of 2 counts. Charlotte then ends up outside, bonks Rhea's head against the ring post, then traps Rhea's leg in the ring steps. She just starts booting the ring steps into Rhea's knee constantly, over and over and over and over. And I'm like sitting there like, right, so this is not a DQ, but Rhea Ripley in the last match that they had through the little fucking announcer table flag bit, and Charlotte's facing gets DQ'd, but this is allowed.
Yeah.
Charlotte gets back in the ring, locks on the figure of 8, and then again, to go back to history, when Charlotte locked on the figure of 8 at WrestleMania last year, Rhea tapped out almost instantly. Now, Rhea, with a legitimate injured knee from the shit that's been going down, held onto held on a lot longer in this hold. And it's like, it's one of these things that just feels really weird to me.
Nah, I don't think so. I think that should be shown that Rhea has
grown as a wrestler.
Yeah. Like she's obviously still is young, but she was young then. She was on her first big stage and all that. But now, like, it means a lot more to her, and her pain threshold's increased because of all the training and shit she's done and all that. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, I'll give you that. But Rhea taps out, and Charlotte has won the belt again. However, I will give them one iota of credit because it feels like before that they were counting the NXT title reigns that she's had as, well, title reigns, obviously. But now it feels like they're disregarding them purely because
they've realised they're going to fucking blow their load on her too soon.
Exactly.
They continue to count in.
Yeah, because on Raw, she cut this promo where she's like, I was a one-time Divas champion and the last, and a blah blah SmackDown champion and a Raw champion. That makes me a 12-time champion and the most championship reigns in WWE. And it's like, well, I'm pretty sure you had 12 reigns ages ago because they kept counting your NXT title reigns. But now that they've disregarded those, at least I appreciate that slightly because NXT does not equal WWE.
But you know that she's going to get the title back relatively soon, I think.
Yeah.
So that's her dead on 13.
Yeah.
And I mean, fair play if that's what they want to do. If they want to fucking give her the record or to match what her dad did, then fine. But don't make it so fucking obvious. Like, do you know what I mean? She's got all these wee short title reigns. Like, see her dad, right? How long did it take him to get those 16 reigns? It probably took 20 years, 25 years all in.
Don't get me wrong. I know that Ric Flair has had a couple of like month-long title reigns in his career. Obviously, being the fact that he was in WCW.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm not saying he hasn't, but my point is.
But yeah, like
world titles weren't jammed down our throats in fucking 5 years.
I was going to go on to the exact same point of Charlotte's still young. Charlotte can probably be in this division for, at the very minimum, 10 more years. It's probably all going to depend on how long she wants to be a wrestler for. So all that being said, she does not need to be champion this constantly to the point where, like, she has to have, because, I mean, Jesus Christ, like, see, at this point, Charlotte has had probably more title reigns that have lasted less than a week than she's probably had more than a month.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, all her title reigns have been dead short. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with short title reigns, but the point is that once she hits that magic 16, where does she go from there? So see if you're ramming that down people's throats within a few years.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, have they not learned from Roman? Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and then even then, Roman's only had like 5 title reigns.
Yeah, I know. But look what happened when they stopped shoving him down people's throats. People actually started to like him.
Yeah, who'd have thunk?
Do you know what I mean? And for me, like, she's going to get these 16 world titles and probably, well, in fact, no, I'm not going to say probably. definitely less than 10 years. And
Yeah.
it's too much. Do you know what I mean?
Probably definitely less than 5 years.
No, she's about 5 years now, so. But.
No, I mean within the next 5 years.
Yeah. Sorry, I meant 10 years total.
Oh, okay. But even then, right, think about it. She's at 12 just now. That's only 4 more reigns. So it's going to be one of these things of she either doesn't hold the belt for an incredibly long time within the span of these next, like that, going off my thing. And let's just say 5 years, like in 5 years, she'll become a 16-time champion. So in this 5 years, she's either going to not hold the belt for a really long time, or she's going to have one of the longest women's title reigns.
Yeah.
So, like, there'll be a point where she'll win the belt and not lose it for like a year.
Yeah. And I would rather we kind of had that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't like Charlotte being champion at all, but you know what? At this point, I would rather, if Charlotte won a belt, that she would keep the belt for a year than winning a belt and then having to lose it like a day or a week later. Which she's done.
Especially when it's been done, those quick changes are being done to basically cram in enough freaking title reigns for her to get that record. Do you know what I mean?
Like, see, off the top of my head, I could think of at least 4. At least 4 of her title reigns have lasted less than a month. Let's say. So there was the time she beat Becky at Money in the Bank, and then Bayley cashed in instantly. So she held the belt for all of about 10 minutes. There was the one where she beat Asuka. SmackDown was on Tuesday, so about 6 days before WrestleMania. Then lost it there.
Yep.
There was the one where she beat Bayley at Clash of Champions, I think it was, and then lost it back to her when Bayley turned heel, proper heel, like 2 weeks later. And I've forgotten the 4th one at this point because I got too much in the tirade. The fourth one is just there. Yes.
I don't know. I would be quite happy for her just to sail off into the sunset and have babies or something, man.
The thing that I don't understand is like the fact that there are a lot of Charlotte fans. Like, to me, Charlotte is just all right. She ain't anything fucking special.
Yeah. She really isn't. I can't even think of. I mean, she does a pretty sweet ass moonsault off the top rope, but apart from that, I can't really think of any special that she's ever really done. Do you know what I mean?
No, I'm going to rectify that sentence. She does a pretty sweet ass, very safe moonsault where she lands on her feet before she collides with anybody, which is the complete opposite of what a hell of a lot of other people do when they moonsault. But anyway, you know what? We're probably going to be talking about Charlotte again in another couple of minutes, so we'll drop this just now, and we'll more than likely get back to her in a couple of minutes. Sip of vodka for the working man. So anyway, we'll move on to the other Money in the Bank ladder match, men's style, where Big E, America's most wanted, John Morrison, Ricochet, Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, Riddle, and Kingsuke Nakamura.
Can we talk about the segment before the match though?
We were just about to, yes. But if you want to take this one away.
I was in absolute stitches watching that. It's not even so much the segment. It was the fucking when the camera pans over and Kevin Owens is just watching them. Like, what the fuck?
It's just like Kevin Owens was standing watching them like an adult watching a bunch of kids being an idiot. And then it's just like, for fuck's sake. But it's like,
I was really hoping he did, though.
He's not going to tell him to stop, but it's just like, I mean, kids be kids, but I'm not getting involved.
I was really hoping he did, though, which he didn't do. See it once he came out for his entrance. If he took a couple of steps, like, onto the stage, and then just kind of stopped and looked back as if going, did I really just see that? Like, just kept it going. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, just like kind of look back and just kind of like, and then just shakes his head. Just like, wow.
Aye. Like, just kept it going. The mate just witnessed that.
Right, so the segment in question, Riddle walks up to King Nakamura and Eric Boogs. And he starts, Riddle starts talking about Randy Orton.
You're not Rick Boogs?
What did I say?
Eric.
Yeah, because he's Eric Bugenhagen. Yeah, he's Rick Boogs, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. I wasn't wrong, but I wasn't right. Yeah, so Riddle walks up to him and goes, oh, man, like, oh, you know, I wish Randy Orton could be here wherever he is. And I was just wondering, could you give us a little play just a little bit of Randy Orton's theme song? And then Boogs is like, I don't know, man. I don't really know it. I'm sorry, man. I can't really help you. And Riddle's like, oh, that really sucks, man. I'm only kidding, man. That's my favorite song. Okay, Riddle, you start up. I hear voices in my head. They counsel me. They understand. They talk to me. And then Boogs is actually like, and then Shinsuke just kind of looks at them for a second, like, I don't understand why I'm here. But then Shinsuke just kind of goes, oh, I know. Orton boss.
Focus strong.
I also love the Viper. Kingsley. You can do no wrong. Yeah, so, and then, as we said, the Kevin Owens moment. Brilliant. So we get into the match, everybody's in the ring, and very quickly at the beginning of the match, John Morrison and Seth Rollins are at ringside, and they start arguing about who's the most drip, because both of them started using that as a thing. I don't understand what it means, but they both started saying it, so they both started arguing about it. Big E fucks up that spear that he does outside the ring again. And it's like, I swear to Christ, man, one day you're going to blow out something. There was a point where Naka with a suplex on Owens, and Kevin Owens' knee hits the corner of the ladder on the way down, which looked, you know, that was a legit one right there.
Mm-hmm.
There was a Johnny Drip Drip chant during this match, and it was loud.
That's because Johnny Drip Drip's hip hip.
I don't see it.
I've always loved John Morrison, though, so I'll always enjoy the things he does.
I'll give him credit.
America's Most Wanted. I fucking love that, man.
I will give him credit. Like, recently, I think, like, I may be turning the corner a little bit, But Jesus, has it taken a long time? He's been back for over a year at this point.
I think his problem was though he was always playing second fiddle to the Miz. So I think Miz's injuries kind of allowed him to like step into that main spot now.
Mm-hmm. Maybe, yeah. Poor Miz went his entire career without an injury, and the one injury he sustains wasn't his fault.
When did he get that injury again?
It was against Damian Priest in the zombie fucking
match. Was it one of the zombies that did it?
No, it was Damian Priest. He came for like a spinning wheel kick off the top rope, but I don't want to say, but I think it was Priest's fault because he kind of landed wrong and landed like right on like Miz's leg and just blew his fucking leg out. But the fact that was like halfway through the match, the Miz finished his match.
Yeah.
With a blown whatever the fuck. And it's like,
yeah.
The ABC, CMLL, whatever. So yeah, like fucking Miz Trooper. Fucking love you, bro. Get well soon. Miz guy for life. Where are we in notes? Yeah, Drew's about to climb the ladder after hitting Claymore at one point, but Jinder and his goons come out and they attack Drew with a chair and drag him backstage. So at this point, this was when I was like, oh no. Drew's going to do the thing where he disappears for ages and comes out and wins, isn't it?
No, I didn't think that was going to be the case. As soon as he was dragged out, I thought that was him done. And it was him done.
It was, yes, which was genuinely surprising to me.
Which, based on the discussion we had, I think that was the best way to book him.
Mm-hmm.
Where he should have won, but he didn't.
Yeah. Because I think it is kind of safe to say, like, obviously, us Scottish lads over here, we do love our Scottish folk.
Yep.
But Drew needs to stop for a bit. He needs to kind of drop down and have a couple of mid-card feuds before he looks at the WWE title again, because it's getting a bit obnoxious.
Yeah, he's obviously sailing off into a feud with Jinder now, so.
Yeah, exactly. So that'll keep him preoccupied for a bit, and then, you know, he can rise back up. Exactly, like this was arguably the best thing for him. There was one point where Riddle was on the ladder climbing up. Ricochet pops up on one of the corners, and then he does a tightrope walk halfway across the ring, springboard on the ladder, knocks Riddle off, and then Riddle's like, okay, bro. Knocks the ladder over, Ricochet bounces off the top rope, hits this amazing looking moonsault, and it schlubs on the outside.
Yeah,
absolutely
one of the beautiful spots I've ever seen in wrestling.
Oh, gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous.
And I'm talking about the whole spot from the tightrope walk to the moonsault, just wonderful.
Oh, beautiful. And it's one of those things where it's like, look, all that took was him doing shit like that. And you know what? Like, I am completely invested in Ricochet again. Do more shit like that.
Yep.
And I'm all for it. King Nakamura is up to the top of the ladder, and Morrison with the dripstick stops Nakamura. Owens takes the ladder bridge bump this year that was set up at ringside as Rollins hits a powerbomb, and Rollins climbs up top. He's got his He's got his stupid heel laugh back. But Big E climbs up, scoops up Seth Rollins. There's a big ending from the top of the ladder to Seth Rollins. And Big E is Money in the Bank.
I had an inkling that it would be Big E that would win it, but I was also kind of hoping it wouldn't be.
Why were you hoping it wouldn't be?
I'm not really sold on him as the next big thing. But again, as I mentioned at the start of the episode, that was the first episode of SmackDown I watched in fucking months. Mm-hmm. So I might be missing something, but for me, I'm just not entirely sold on it. What I was actually hoping for was Morrison to win it, and then they could have this kind of slow build jealousy thing with him and the Miz.
Yeah.
And then eventually
I've been Money in the Bank twice.
Yeah, and then it can be the only reason you were even in the match is because I got hurt. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would have been quite all for that. Not necessarily saying that it would be that the Miz would then get the briefcase back.
Yeah, because
they could still have a match for it, but I would like to have seen Morrison keep the briefcase because Miz winning it 2 years in a row without actually winning it would maybe been just a tad much.
Yeah. I just quite like that idea. Yeah, if Morrison did win it and then Miz fought for it, it's I'm going to be the only 3-time Money in the Bank winner. And then he doesn't. And then that's the part where the two of them break up.
Yeah.
Because, as she kind of says, Morrison coming back playing second fiddle to the Miz just makes me not care about him because, the Miz is, a massive star and Morrison coming back and just being his schlub and is oh, you just went right back to where you used to be because I always considered you a schlub in WWE, which is the whole reason why I didn't care about him when he came back.
Yeah, I actually just thought a really good way to do it would be have Morrison win Money in the Bank, right? And then have him successfully cash in said Money in the Bank. And during the celebration, on top of the ramp at the stage or whatever, Morrison's posing and stuff, and Miz is just a few feet behind him in the wheelchair. And as he's posing and celebrating, Miz rises to his feet, Johnny turns around and Miz kicks him in the balls or something. Do you know what I mean?
I love it.
And then he's yeah, the only reason you have that is because of me. Even though I was in a wheelchair, I was still
better.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then they could then maybe have a match for the title, which Miz would then win and would get the second Miz title run. I know he got the title at the start of the year, but that was shite. Sure. The second proper Miz title run.
There, that's the word you needed. Proper.
Yeah. Yep. That would have been pretty cool. I would have enjoyed that. Kind of rising out the wheelchair a la fucking Linda McMahon. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very Gargano Ciampa-esque as well.
Yeah.
We're always pals, and right up until I don't want to be your friend anymore.
Yeah, totally. But it is what it is. Big E won, so we'll see where it goes.
Right, so let's quickly go back to Big E because I've made my point clear about how and why I do not like Big E, but is there any more to why you don't like him, other than you're just going to be following SmackDown? Because see, to be honest, it's not like he was a big player on SmackDown.
Yeah, I just don't take him seriously, and that's a big issue. Because even in this fucking pay-per-view, he was still doing stupid shit. Or was it the pay-per-view? Was it SmackDown where he interrupted Paul Heyman? I can't remember.
Anyway.
Do you know what I'm talking about, though? The segment?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's still doing stupid shit, so I just can't take him. I can't take him seriously. I mean, it's all right being quite fun and charismatic and stuff, but every time I've seen him, he's been getting beat. So I'm kind of a bit like, well, how am I supposed to take this guy seriously as the potential next Universal Champion?
I mean, you know I love you, bro, as a bro and all that shit, but Jesus Christ, I don't think I love you any more than I do right now, because I have been saying this for months. I cannot stand Big E, and it's purely because of all the bullshit that he does. Like, and I've been talking about this for a long ass time. See, just simple things like on SmackDown, they had that 4-way, and then like this is meant to be the big 4-way. It's the big 4-way between the 4 SmackDown participants in the Money in the Bank ladder match. And then he makes his entrance and he does that stupid sitting thing that he does in the fucking corner with his legs spread wide. And it's like, I'm meant to take you seriously as potentially the next Universal Champion, and you sit there like that in preparation for a match. So it's like, right, you cash in Money in the Bank, like even if you do it legitimately, and then you sit like that while your opponent comes out, and I'm meant to take you seriously. Like, never mind everything else. Obviously, a lot of this stuff has been well documented, but I'm just so glad that there's somebody else that sees Big E as, kind of embarrassing and not like who should be the next person in line to be
I mean, don't get me wrong,
world champion.
I wouldn't say he's embarrassing. I think his shtick has got a place, just not at the top of the card.
Well, I think it's embarrassing in the way that he acts, and like then it's like, oh, he has potential to be WWE or world champion. It's like that guy.
And do you know something? I genuinely think he'll fail his cash in.
That's interesting. But this is a thought, but at the same time, this needs to happen for it to happen, and I'll unravel that all now because that was a weird sentence that made no sense.
Yep.
What needs to happen is there are 5 weeks until SummerSlam. 5 weeks of SummerSlam. Goldberg takes on Bobby Lashley.
Yep.
One of Big E's matches, one of his dream matches that he's wanted was him versus Goldberg. However, who has Bobby Lashley been beating up for the past 3 months?
Kofi.
And?
Xavier, obviously.
And Xavier. So this leads me to thinking that he's going to cash in on either or both. I think he might cash in as the match starts at SummerSlam. That way he gets his big meaty men slapping meat match and gets to wrestle Goldberg, but then also gets to take out his frustrations on what Bobby Lashley has been doing to his 2 boys for the past couple of months. But saying all that, what Big E needs to do is start becoming legitimate in these next 5 weeks on SmackDown. He needs to stop being look at me, a Big E. Oh, isn't I funny? Look at the stupid way that I sit in the ring rope during matches. I make funny quips. And it's like, right, be serious now. If you want Big E to be taken seriously, then act serious. Like, I'm not saying like be Jack Swagger when he cashed in Money in the Bank and went from being a bit of a goofy guy to turning into a fucking robot, but drop some of the goofy shit. Like, not all of it. Like, you don't need to drop all of it. I'm just saying, like, see, anytime I see Big E in a match, it looks like he doesn't take it seriously. So see if I
That's what annoys me.
see if I can see a match starting and it looks like Big E is taking this match seriously, then boom, right, okay, maybe I might be in on the guy. But like, you've got 5 weeks until SummerSlam, and I think that would be the perfect time for Big E to cash in.
You know, I just had a thought as you were talking there, and don't get me wrong, it's incredibly unlikely to happen, but it feels like something that they would do because of all the shit that they've done about the New Day existed. I don't know if you ever seen this interview with Xavier Woods, and he said that the New Day exists to get Kofi Kingston a WWE title. Do you remember that?
What, like, all the way back? The whole point of New Day?
Yeah, before Kofi won it, like he was asked in an interview what the purpose of the New Day is and where he sees it going, and he said, "Oh, the New Day exists to get Kofi Kingston a WWE Championship because he deserves it and all that, blah 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 blah." That happened, right? I just had this weird thought: what if fucking Big E just decides, "Oh no, Kofi, you're more deserving than I am. Here, have my briefcase."
Yeah.
It won't happen, but fucking, it wouldn't surprise me if they booked it that way, man.
Okay, here we go. This is what I would do at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Let's sneeze.
Sorry, I tried to mute that there and didn't quite get there. Apologies.
Let's keep that in the back pocket. Big E cashes in on Bobby Lashley and or Goldberg at SummerSlam, wins the belt. The New Day come out. Oh my God, all three of the New Day are together. Then on Raw, the coronation of Big E as WWE champion. And he pulls the Eli Drake and beats the shit out of Kofi and Xavier Woods. And then he gets back on the mic and goes, "Oh, the New Day was to get Kofi Kingston the title shot. What about me? What about me?" And then, like,
it was Xavier that said it, to be fair. So
yeah, exactly. So he can be like, "Oh yeah," like he could say it and then go, "What? All you don't know what I'm talking about? Check this out." And then he throws to the Titantron, and then it plays that video of Xavier Woods saying, "Oh well, the New Day is to get Kofi a title shot because he deserves it, or a WWE Championship because he deserves it." And then it cuts back to Big E standing over both his former New Day members, like, "Yeah, you thought that I cashed in on Bobby Lashley so I can come over and we could all be back together. I don't need any of you now." But you know what? They probably won't do that. And Becky's just gonna be like, "No, look at me, I'm the WWE champion." I can't stand them. I'm sorry. As it says, make him serious and I'll take him. Make him serious and I'll take him seriously. Simple as that. So anyway, backstage, Rollins gets interviewed about his loss because he was so close. Rollins screams about losing Money in the Bank. Rollins says Edge stole his spot from him in the main event tonight and says, I need a new plan. I need a new plan. Whoever wins tonight, I'm next in line. So Rollins has eyes on our main event, which is Edge versus Roman Reigns for the WWE Universal Championship.
Yep. Which was a match I was really looking forward to.
Yeah. Was not looking forward to the fact that it was about nearly 40 minutes, though.
Too long for you?
Dragged a little. I feel like the first, because the notes for the match definitely didn't start taking place until the arse end of the match. Which is also something I'm trying to do. I'm trying to progressively take less notes. I'm one of those people. So there was a slow beatdown of Edge for the first several minutes of the match. Edge gets the Edge-O-Matic at one point for a very close 2 count. Edge gets another close fall off the Execution DDT, or as Gangrel would call it, the Impaler. Ooh. Edge bounces Reigns' head off the ring post while he was in the ropes, causing Reigns to fall into the tree of whoa. So it was on top of the ring post. Edge then goes to work on Reigns' knee and locks in the STF, which Michael Cole calls the crossface. 2 completely different moves.
Yep, that bugged me, but I let it go. Mainly because of how much fun Pat McAfee is. But anyway, continue.
Reigns counters the Edge spear with the guillotine, which looked fucking badass, to be honest. Edge breaks the hold by throwing Roman and himself out of the ring. Reigns then goes for a spear, but then spears himself through the barricade. Then at a 9 count, or about an 8 count, Edge gets in the ring, tells the ref, don't count anymore. And the ref is like, what do you mean? What? And he's like,
that's not the rules. This is not the rules. I misinterpreted the rules.
What a novel concept that someone that's challenging for a wrestling belt that he can only win by pinfall or submission doesn't want a count out victory. So then Edge flies back out of the ring and then spears Reigns through another barricade. Back in the ring later on, Reigns hits the Superman punch and knocks Edge into the referee, Mr. Charles Robinson. And Charles goes down with a knee injury.
By the way, I think that might have been legitimate.
Which I was literally about to say.
Yeah.
I think he was meant to just knock into him, but the way the Edge fell down, he kind of landed on his knee.
Yeah, because it took forever for another referee to come out. And usually those spots are other referees out pretty pronto. And also,
there was like doctors and shit out.
Yeah, which you never see. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, no, I think he legitimately did blow his knee out.
Why don't you check his Twitter? Let's find out.
I'll check it now.
Because, Charles Robinson, he is a man after my own heart. If you've ever seen his horror room, by God, it's incredible.
I have seen it.
Oh, my God. Looks like Chris is just blowing his own knee out.
No. Fergal just tried to jump on my lap, completely missed and landed in my balls. That was fucking sore. Oh, you asshole, man. Ow! Anyway, Charles Robertson Twitter. Let's have a look.
Reigns goes for Edge's new favourite weapon, the random chair bit. Reigns attempts to lock in the crossface. Edge fights out and uses about a dozen headbutts to do it. And it's like, oh, yes, do headbutts. He then locks in the STF with the chair bit, but the Usos and the Mysterios come out and have a big brawl. They brought backstage. The referee's still knocked out. And Rollins super kick to the back of Edge's head to break the hold. Roman then gets speared by Edge. And this is the point of Legends. Edge goes for the cover, gets a visual fall. The crowd chant, 1, 2, and Roman kicks out. But then a referee slides in the ring, and conveniently Roman Reigns is just back in position to go 1, 2, and then Roman kicks out. And then they start showing fans in the crowd like being all shocked with their hands on their head. Like, what did you expect when Roman kicked out before this? That should have been the point where like they should have just done the spot again. As soon as Roman kicked out, Edge should have just been like, do it again. And then just sit in a corner. And even if the ref ran out before like he hit the spear, it wouldn't have mattered. It just made it look
Right.
awkward.
That kick out thing led me to continue to believe that injury was real, because I don't think Roman knew if the referee was there or not.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
So I think he heard the crowd chanting along and was like, shit. He hasn't said anything, but he has posted a Twitter of him in his epic horror room, of him wearing a knee brace and ice packs. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a legitimate injury.
Oh, there you go, a knee brace. That's you wouldn't just wear that out of nowhere.
Yeah, an ice pack.
May have just been a sprain. May have not been that bad. But
Yeah.
There you go. He's got a couple of weeks off to sit in his epic horror room and watch epic horror movies.
Yep, indeed. So get well soon, Charles Robinson.
Mm-hmm. Hello, Mitch. I love your brother.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's why Roman kicked out there, because I don't think he knew if there was a referee in the ring or not.
Yeah.
I think there was maybe supposed to be. Like the referee was supposed to be back on his feet by that point.
Maybe like crawling into the ring. Like, yeah. I have to agree with you at this point. Like, all the evidence lies in little Charlie got fucked up.
Yep, he did indeed.
So the match continues. Rollins comes back as Edge was setting up for another spear. So Edge goes big boots Rollins off the apron. Reigns hits a spear. 1, 2, 3, and it's over. Reigns celebrates, and as we kind of alluded to earlier, we're thinking, okay, we're about to go off the air, yada yada. But then all of a sudden, Reigns asks for a microphone. And like, this is not normally how we go off pay-per-views.
Yep.
So Reigns says, I'm the big dog, acknowledge me. And then we just go off air, like it just ends just like that. Like,
nothing else happened whatsoever.
Nothing major happened.
I mean, some music played, but I couldn't see anyone come out.
I know, it was really weird. This big screen, like maybe it was maybe it was Green Man from Always Sunny. Like he just kind of wandered out, and we couldn't see him because green screen. That was weird.
Incredibly weird.
So John Cena came back, whatever.
Yeah,
So let's quickly move on to the few Raw conversations that we have. John Cena came out to start the show, says that he's going to go after Roman Reigns and the Universal title. So why the fuck are you on Raw? Because he's on SmackDown. Do you not understand how the brand split works?
Yeah, that's true, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. And then he says, Roman. Yes, exactly. Like it went silent like that.
Yeah, you do know that's because they censored it for TV.
I know, but asshole. Like when they said bullshit the other week, but asshole isn't allowed.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
Like Bobby Lashley literally said bullshit in the last episode of Raw, but calling Roman Reigns an asshole isn't.
Maybe Bobby went off script.
But no, because there's this 7-second delay.
Yeah, true.
And then even to the point where I think on the pay-per-view, like MVP also said bullshit. Like to allude back to the Bobby Lashley promo.
Yeah, that's true. Do you know what it could be? I mean, I'm just talking shit here, but it could be right. Is it maybe because John Cena's got such a high following of younger viewers that they don't want them repeating some things that John Cena says? Hustle, politely, respect, asshole. Like,
genuinely, yes, I think that may be the most legitimate reason, but yeah. Well, anyway, we'll move on from that because that's not the talking points. Right, so are we going to do this?
Yep.
Jeff Hardy.
Yeah. I must say before I get into this theory, I was very lubricated last night.
You get into your side of the story before we do this.
I have a theory that Jeff Hardy going to NXT would be really good. And I think having Jeff Hardy beat Karrion Kross for the NXT title would also be very good. The reason being is that Karrion Kross has beaten everyone. He's debuted on Raw this week, for those that didn't know, and lost to Jeff Hardy with a returning No More Words, which I was glad to see or hear. Yeah. With Jeff, the wee cheeky feet on the ropes at the end, because that's what you have to do to beat someone like Karrion Kross. So Karrion Kross has now obviously got a chip on his shoulder about Jeff Hardy. He said in an in-ring interview after the match that Jeff's going to get what's coming to him. And given the fact that they've built Karrion Kross to be so strong in NXT, it would make sense for a wily veteran to be the one that takes the title off him.
Not happy about it.
Not happy? I think it'd be really interesting to see someone with the experience of Jeff Hardy in NXT. Like, I think that it would really work because you could, like, guys like Austin Theory and stuff like that, you could have matches with and it'd really benefit them.
Don't get me wrong, everything you say sounds awesome. Not happy about it. I'm not happy about the way that Karrion Kross was portrayed on Raw. Everything down to his entrance being stripped, down to him just wandering out looking fucking awkward as fuck. He didn't even get into the ring and do his like poses during the fall and pray thing. Like none of this. Like, there was no Scarlet. None of this made any fucking sense to me. And then Jeff Hardy puts his feet on the ropes to beat Karrion Kross. It is like, right, okay. If there's one wrestler in the world that I could see doing the cheaty feet on the ropes, it's not Jeff Hardy.
See, to be honest with you, right? See that feet on the ropes thing? I watched it back earlier on today before we did this because I wanted to like see it again before bringing it up. I actually think it's an accident.
Nope.
I think he loses with the ring, and he's trying to get the pin in tighter. So he kicks his legs, and then his legs kind of land on the ropes, and he's like, shit.
Nah, I'm not taking that.
The reason that I think that is because the commentators were so blasé about it. Like it was barely mentioned that he'd done it. They did mention it, but it was barely mentioned.
No, because I'm trying to figure out how to put this in like proper words, like, or maybe no more words.
The time has come and gone for words. 1,000 threats have before. Sorry.
God damn it. Like, I was so excited, and then within the span of about 2.5 minutes, like, completely defeated and, like, loathed Jeff Hardy with every fiber of my being. Cheating bastard.
Right. Here's,
no. Right, okay.
We've had this discussion before on this podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
I obviously missed the Killer Kross run at Impact because I wasn't watching Impact at the time.
Yeah.
So, Karrion Kross to me, I have only ever seen in NXT. I've never seen any of his work beforehand. And I said in this podcast that Scarlett is the star of that group. And I think his Raw debut proved that because see, without her, he's bland as fucking plain bread.
Well, this goes back to, like, yeah, exactly what I was alluding to with his Raw debut. That being, and you know what? Adam Cole may be right. God damn it. From what he said the other day, or the other week.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Finishing my drink for this one. Right. So, well, less than a month ago, Adam Cole says, "Oh look, WWE made you cool with the cool entrance and the cool music, and then having the hot chick dancing around you. Like, oh, WWE manufactured you to be cool." And you know what? As much as I hate to say it, because I love Karrion Kross. I think like it goes to show, like, I bought his t-shirt. That's the first male wrestler t-shirt that I've bought in years.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, when they popped up, oh, NXT champion Karrion Kross makes his Raw debut today, I was like, hell fucking yes. What jobber is he going to beat the shit out of? Like, I'm assuming he's just going to knock the fuck out of Drew Gulak or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, it's Jeff Hardy. It's like, fucking hell, they're going to give him a win over Jeff Hardy in his debut. Like, that's quite big. Then Karrion Kross wanders out. He's got his cool music. And then he just wanders out to the ring. Not really any kind of anything. And then, like, he gets to the ring, and then the fall and pray, fall and pray, and he's still standing beside the ring. And then he just kind of claims in the ring. Well, that's play. Like, at least get in the ring for the fall and pray bit, and just kind of do the like kind of poses that you do, like at least do that. Like it's almost like he was set up to fail, and I can't help but feel as if at this point it was on purpose.
I mean, I can't say that I think you're wrong. I think you're 100% spot on, but also,
but for storyline reasons.
But also at this, like I personally don't rate him. I've said this to you before, said this to Robert before. I don't get him.
Which is why you've not been on the podcast for a couple of months.
That's why I got fired because of that opinion.
Yeah.
No, but like I don't get him, and I'm pretty sure I said in this podcast that I might not have, but I'm sure I did, that in my opinion they were building Scarlett to be the star of these two coming out of it. Then what happened. They were on the NXT title and all that, blah, blah, blah. But see, for the fact that they've now chosen not to put Scarlett with him, they've completely sacrificed him for whatever they want to do with her. Do you know what I mean?
I don't understand it.
I kind of do. He's boring as fuck.
Well, I mean, you're allowed your opinion. Just, you know, when your opinion is wrong on the occasion, like...
Is that me fired again?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Cheers. See you later, guys.
Probably going to be off for another 2 months until Robert can come back. So he's been charged.
Aye. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Like, for me, I have never got him from day one. I just haven't been invested in him. I don't get it. Obviously, Scarlett was the most interesting part of his act, and Raw this week proved it.
I don't understand it. So exactly as I kind of said, like Adam Cole brought up all this shit about, oh, this is what makes you cool. And then literally 2 of the 3 things that Adam Cole said they've took away from him in his Raw debut. It was the hot chick and
the cool entrance.
They kept his awesome music, which I've said many a time, like when he's had to storm out to the ring when he's been called out, does not work as just a walking out theme. Like, it works as an entrance, and that being that they fall and pray is when you're in the ring and all the smoke is and you're doing all the crazy poses and like, see, even
he's better walking out without music.
Yeah, or even if it just went, fall and pray, because he's walking out with such like kind of gusto, and like he's going to be out there by the time the fall and pray stops. But like when it just kicks with the din 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 din, and like it's like, no, that doesn't work. But I don't know. It's just the fucked him from day one. Like, he's still NXT champion. He's undefeated. And then all of a sudden, Jeff Hardy beats him in 2.5 minutes with his feet on the ropes. Which, again, like, whether you perceive that as an accident or not, it
was just a theory, because the feet on the ropes thing was the weird bit to me.
Mm-hmm.
But like, when you watch it back, like, you see he goes for the pin. He doesn't quite have it in tight, so he kicks his legs up to kind of adjust the leverage on it, and then his feet kind of land on the ropes, and it's like, that's the bit that I don't get. And I'm like, could that have been a mistake? Has he like just not really registered where he is in the ring, kicked his feet too much? And that's because it's also the fact that it wasn't acknowledged by the commentators. Do you know what I mean?
For me, like, no, that's absolutely not a mistake. The zero amount of mistake. And then, like, it's just that thing of I mean, we spoke so much about all this hoopla to get to this point that I genuinely want to talk about oh, big facey face Jeff Hardy needed to cheat to beat the NXT champion.
What if this is the start of a Jeff Hardy heel turn, which I don't believe he's ever been in WWE?
He'll fade away and classify himself as obsolete.
And obviously he's had the run in TNA as a heel, but I don't think it's ever happened in WWE. I cannot think at any point in time where Jeff Hardy was a heel, apart from maybe the early days of the Hardy Boys.
The only time I can even consider him slightly a heel, and that I'm very much saying slightly, would maybe be during the Jeff versus Matt Hardy 2001 feud, which did not last long. Like, they had a couple of matches. One of them was at Vengeance 2001 when Chris Jericho beat Austin and The Rock in one night to win the Undisputed title. But even then, I'm pretty sure, like, despite the fact he was depicted as the heel, was still the one that everybody cheered for. So, but yeah, like, no, I agree. Like, Jeff Hardy is pretty much being a face through his entire WWE career.
But also at the same time, turning him now, just after he gets his awesome music back, doesn't make any sense either.
I know, exactly. Like,
because, like,
that should have been part of his heel gimmick is, you know what, I'm going to keep the shitty Hardy Boys theme music because I know you want no more words back and you can go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, because, like, you could hear the crowd singing along to it and stuff when it came out. Do you know what I mean?
Jesus, I almost cranked my TV up to maximum when I heard that music play.
The only thing about it, though, is they completely botched the sound on it.
Yeah, it wasn't loud.
Yeah, they completely botched it. But I think they kind of turned microphone. Excuse me. I think they kind of turned microphones down to avoid the crowd overpowering it, and then it kind of just fucked the whole thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because like, even Corey Graves was like, "Oh, old school."
Yeah. And also as well, I don't know if you've ever listened to No More Words on like Spotify or whatever. Well, maybe different.
Oh, bless. You think I don't listen to that music constantly?
Yeah, but do you not think the actual recording of it is really quiet as well?
Yes. Like, even back in the day, see, before the album that it was on came out, like, I got, like, a recording of the entire song, and even that recording was hella quiet.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm purely, like, I was trying to blast the thing as loud as I could at any opportunity, and even then, it was still, like, you know, you can get it as loud as you can, and then it starts to get grainy and awkward.
Yeah. It's not a very good quality recording to begin with. You know what I mean?
And then you got the album, and it was better, but still wasn't as loud as your boy wanted it to be.
Yeah, totally agree. But we'll see where things go. My opinion on Karrion Kross hasn't changed in the time I've been away. I still don't see it. I still think Scarlett's the best thing about his act, and without her, he will flounder big time.
I know. No, well, like, to try and drop the whole, oh my god, I'm a massive Karrion Kross fan and I love him so much, like, kind of thing, like this whole fucking thing made him look like an absolute idiot. Like, the dude is running an undefeated streak in NXT right now, like, as champion, and then in the span of 2.5 minutes, Jeff Hardy fucking beats him, like, and then, but anyway, like, I'll rifle through all this very quickly. He was running an undefeated streak in NXT as champion, and then Jeff Hardy, the faciest face in WWE, beats him by cheating, which is a very heelish thing to do. regardless of whether you think it was a mistake or not. Like, do you not think that is just a whole weird sort of concept?
Oh yeah, no, totally. That's like, as I said earlier, the weirdest part about it for me was the use of the ropes. Like, I'm actually not that. Okay, no, I am shocked, but in my head, I can get my head around Jeff Hardy beating him. But it's the use of the ropes that was the weird bit for me, and it's the fact that it wasn't even like it was barely mentioned by the commentators, as I've said, as if it's like, oh, that didn't happen. Don't look at it. And even when they did mention it, they said even if he did have a little bit of help.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then Karrion Kross gets the after the match interview, and it's like, so how do you feel about your loss? So it's like kind of one of those things where it's like, right, clearly all that was meant to happen so that he can do this promo, and he's like, right, oh well, Jeff Hardy just made the biggest mistake of his life, and everybody will fall and pray. And it's like, okay, that's not your saying. Like, you've never once said everybody will fall and pray. Like,
Scarlett said it quite a lot.
Yeah, but he didn't. His sort of thing was TikTok.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true.
So, what the fuck are you doing to this guy? Stop! You're ruining him.
Yeah, not overly invested in whether it works out or not. To be perfectly honest with you, I just think not. He's not my cup of tea.
Look at me, I'm Chris. I don't like good wrestlers.
Fuck up.
Lick my balls.
Could be a bit of Scottish abuse there. Fuck up, you prick.
You fucking cunt. You're a good cunt, but you're a fucking cunt.
I'll tell you what, Chris, right? See, I'm off work in a couple of weeks, right? For a week.
Mm-hmm.
Send me a list of 5 Killer Cross matches in TNA to watch and change.
Okay. I'll go.
Cool, right. I'll report back.
Okay, well, you know what? Like, oh yeah, shit. We're not even done yet because in the main event, Rhea Ripley took on Charlotte Flair for the WWE Raw Women's Championship, which ended in a big old DQ. So Rhea Ripley beat the fuck out of that pain in the arse bitch.
Yep. And then
go hit us with it. Hit us with it, Chris.
The music of the one and only, I refuse to call it ASH, Nikki Ash hit. And we got ourselves a new Raw Women's Champion after a crossbody off the top rope.
Like, this got spoiled for me, but watching it, like, I still popped. Like, just because we knew Nikki for so long. Like, we have talked about knowing Nikki as a person for over the runs of this podcast. Like,
you and Robert more so than me. I've only had a
I'm talking the old version of this podcast as well.
Mm.
When we were a download, when the podcast was conceived.
Yeah.
And then we started talking about these old stories and all that kind of stuff. Like, so like,
sorry, on you go.
Yeah, like we've knew Nikki for so many years, and then but this was the thing. Is like, yeah, Drew winning the WWE title, like that was pretty awesome. It's it's a victory for Scotland, but like it's one of those things where like see if you knew Nikki's backstory when she was like, oh yeah, like I'll try wrestling. If I'm not in WWE in 5 years, then I'm gonna give it up. And I think it was really close to the 5 year mark when she finally got signed. Like, and then now, like a couple of years later, she's
it was longer than that because 2008 she started training. She got signed in 2015, I believe. But she did say that like if she wasn't in WWE in 5 years, she was going to give it up. She wasn't in WWE in 5 years, but she was pretty fucking successful. So.
Oh, there you go. I guess it must have been a bit further than that, but she must have committed to it. And then you know what? She committed to it. She paid off because she's the fucking Raw Women's Champion.
It's insane. Like I got it spoiled for me as well because obviously mutual friends and stuff that you've probably seen the same people posting about it in the morning. So I was like, brilliant. So I got up, I got ready, I fired up my laptop to start work, and then I put the end of Raw on just to see that. I watched the end of Raw first and then watched the rest of it.
Nice.
Like, because that was it, man. I was like, before I'm not starting work until I've sat and actually took this in and watched it.
Yeah.
And my only complaint is we didn't really get enough of the celebration afterwards.
Oh yeah, it was very TNA of Nikki Storm is the new WWE Women's Champion. We'll see you next week.
Yeah.
We're out of time.
Yeah. Didn't get enough of the celebration, but they posted a video on their social media channels of the celebration afterwards, so we still got to see it, but I would have liked to see more on the TV. But end of the day, it doesn't take it away. Fucking delighted for her.
Like, if you're one of the very, very, very few people that have been listening to us for on and off the past couple of years, you will know the story of when she made her literal WWE debut at Download, because I don't think she had any other matches before that, other than when she appeared at Download when we were there. And then she ran out, snatched that old flag off of us. Like that was the start of it. We'd literally seen the start of her career. And now she is, at least right now, the WWE Women's Champion of Raw. Like, I mean, the biggest accolade that you can get.
I mean, I sadly don't think that our title run is going to be a particularly lengthy one, but the fact that she's got it is just fucking absolute kudos to her. Like,
you could see it on her face when she won that match. She was crying. Like, I mean, she deserved every bit of it.
I didn't notice tears when she won the title, but she was 100% crying on Money in the Bank when she was on top of the ladder with the briefcase. I didn't notice any tears on Raw, and I wonder if that's maybe just because the cash-in and the title win just came a bit too quick. Like, all her emotion came out the night before. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure I've seen a bit of tears, like when she first won. Like, just maybe one of those things where like she had to kind of. Well, I mean, she had the mask as well, so that kind of helped a little bit. But like when she won and like was given the title, like I seen like emotion.
Oh yeah, no, 100% emotion there. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, fucking. And friend of the show, Sam Tennant as well. I don't know if you've seen his post on it. The very first independent wrestling match he saw in Scotland featured Nikki Cross.
Probably one of the first that I've seen as well, to be honest.
Not for me. The very first. I actually remember the very first time I saw Nikki Storm as she was, and it was when she debuted in ICW as the manager for what was that faction called? The one with like Ofcom, yeah. And she debuted as Miss Nicola Storm. It was the very first time I seen her.
I seen her probably within about her first 6 months, I reckon. It was in a random show in Govan when I was hanging about with my pal who literally lived across the road from the church that it was happening in. And it was a 4-way women's match with Nikki Storm, and I can't even remember anybody else. Probably Carmella, and I would assume maybe Sarah. But however, the fourth participant.
Just to clarify for anyone that might be confused, that would be Carmel, not Carmella.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. And then the fourth wrestler was a guy dressed up as a woman. So, and then all three of them beat the shit out of them, and then I don't even actually remember who won. But anyway, I remember after the show, like Nikki was helping tidy up the chairs, and I was like, "Oh, I'll help you."
Of course, we were the ever gentleman that you are.
Of course. I'm a gentleman. And then, like, obviously asked the stupid ass question of, did you realize that was a guy? And she was like, no.
You didn't, did you?
Yeah, well, I was drunk and I was trying to make a joke, and she kept kayfabe.
Yeah, I'll always remember, right, this is another story about Nikki. Me, Al, and Sam went to a show and no, sorry, it wasn't. It was me, Al, and someone else. Went to a show in Edinburgh, a Discovery show. But I think it might have been Discovery's first show, actually. Possibly. Anyway, it was the one the Young Bucks were on, or the first one the Young Bucks were on.
Okay, that wasn't the first one.
And Sam is like a massive Nikki Storm fan. And at the end of the show, we were kind of hanging about outside to get pictures with like Chris Sabin, and she came out and I was like, "Can we get a picture?" And she was like, "What for?" And instead of saying, "Because we want to take a picture of us with you to wind up our pal," I went, "Oh, we're going to sell it on eBay."
I know.
And she went, "You're not getting one then," and fucked off back inside. I was like, it was a joke.
But see, like, the funniest part of that is, like, this is something that I've probably said a good couple of times on the podcast, is the fact that every time that she says because she was always a heel, especially in all these kid shows, every time anybody runs up and asks her for an autograph, she's like, "You could sell this for £1 million one day. Like you can sell this for so much money one day." And it's like, see, any of those kids that might still have those like autograph books, like, I mean, not that they're going to sell them, but like, if they're still wrestling fans right now, they're going to watch Nikki Ash like win the women's title and go, "Oh my god, I met her like 6, 7, 8 years ago."
Yeah, it's quite.
But she always like kind of a laugh. Okay, I'll sign it. But like she also worked as a heel, but she would still sign it for you.
Yeah. No, she couldn't take a joke right enough. But yeah, she definitely. I actually remember hearing her saying that as well. Because looking for a photo. But I actually just looked at us as being two drunk guys, and obviously Al was driving. So it was.
They made driver.
So it was me and the other person pished wanting a photo where to wind Sam up, and then I was like, I will sell it on eBay, and she was like, you're not getting one, then fucked off.
Fair enough.
But,
Wow. That has definitely been a night of conversation of wrestling.
Definitely, man. Fucking hell, what we were must be 3.5 hours deep in this episode.
Which is short for us.
Yeah, but it's also fucking going on 11:30 here, so. So yes, I'm going to go and make myself some toast because I'm fucking starving. But yeah, it's been good.
You came from a barbecue.
Yeah, I know, but I didn't really have much time to eat much because it took fucking. We got back. Basically, the gist of today was I went and got my second COVID jab, get yourself vaccinated, and then I went to my mum's for a barbecue. But when I got there, Finn hadn't even started cooking anything. So like by the time shit was ready, I had enough time for like 2 burgers and like a sausage, and then had to leave to come and do this. So that's what I gave up for you people.
Take some to go. Jesus Christ, man.
Nah, reheated barbecue is not fun.
No, eat it on the fucking bus.
Face mask.
You can put stuff under the face mask.
Anyway, I'm going to have some toast and cheese, and then I'm going to watch some shite in the telly. I apologise to Fergal for kicking a fucking ball in his face earlier.
Well, this is going to be some fucking old school shit, but here we go. Hit us with one of those.
So on that note, I've been Chris motherfucking Hughes.
I have been the Grizz.
Oh!
See you later.
Boom. And that's a wrap.
Remember, you can follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Heel Podcast. And also, don't forget, you can hear our archives on the World Wide Web at heelpodcast.co.uk. Well, that's all, folks. So long. Have a good day.